Feel Good Friday afternoon, and you are listening to 580 Sports Talk. I'm Brendan Dworzinski with you today, flying solo for the first hour of the show on this May 16th. Dan Lucero will be joining us coming up in a little bit. Spencer Dupuis will stop by later on in the show as well. But it's yours truly leading us through this opening hour of the show today. Thank you for joining me. Whether you're listening on 580 AM, 104.9 FM, online at 580WIBW.com, or checking us out on the 580 Sports Talk YouTube video stream, I thank you for joining me for today's show. We've got plenty to get to today, and I'd love for you to be a part of the program as well. Hit me up on the text line, 785-272-9429, or you can join us in the feed, the comments feed on the YouTube stream. Head to youtube.com, search 580 Sports Talk. That's it. Just type in 580 Sports Talk, hit that enter key. Will be the first result. Make sure you subscribe while you're there if you have not subscribed to the channel already. Then you can hang out with us, watch the video stream, hang out in the comments section as well, and have a happy Friday afternoon with us. Plenty of Chiefs football to get to in this first hour of the show today. Start things off with a piece from Diante Lee over at The Ringer. I really like Diante Lee's work. But the piece is titled, "The NFL Wants You to Watch the Kansas City Chiefs. What Chiefs Fatigue? The NFL is risking over-indexing on Kansas City games in primetime in 2025. We'll get to Diante's piece coming up here in a little bit, and my feelings about the idea of Chiefs fatigue and the Chiefs being on TV. Talk a little Royals baseball this hour as well. We'll preview the series against the Cardinals this weekend, the I-70 series, coming up in the 4 o'clock hour to lead things off. Our crew will be a little bit more whole by then. But I've got some thoughts about the legacy of the 2015 Kansas City Royals. It has been a decade since that team won the World Series. Can you believe it? That it's already been a decade? I sure can't, because I was in college at the time. I was a sophomore going into my junior year of college. That's when that happened, so I can't believe I'm that old at this point. But it's been 10 years, and I've got some thoughts about the legacy of that team, a kind of team that I don't know that we'll ever see again. Plus, Matt Derrick is going to join us at the bottom of this hour for our Chiefs Insider, and we've got a little bit of a switcheroo end of the hour. We're going to do On Second Thought to wrap up the 3 o'clock hour today, our weekly mea culpa, a take that went bad. Yes, even I have them. We'll do On Second Thought coming up in the 4 o'clock hour today when the studio is a little bit more full. Also later on in the show, as I mentioned, we'll preview Royals versus Cardinals this weekend. Andy Weingarten is going to join us as well. Our good buddy, Andy Weingarten, formerly of WIBW TV and Wave 3 TV in Louisville, our horse racing expert. 38 years joining us here on 580 WIBW. And this week, we're going to preview the Preakness. That's right, leg 2 of the Triple Crown. There will not be a Triple Crown winner. We'll talk to Andy about that coming up during our chat with him at the bottom of the 4 o'clock hour today. And as always, we've got What Is Wrong With You at about 4:25. We will have our 580 Sports Talk headlines to lead off the 5 o'clock hour, plus the playoff roundup. Christian Brown, he was great for the Denver Nuggets, KU zone, and Dan Lucero's blood pressure survives for one more day. Nuggets moving on to a Game 7 in the Western Conference Finals. We'll talk NBA, NHL in the playoff roundup. We'll get to some more Royals baseball in the 5 o'clock hour, get you ready for that weekend series. We'll hear from you on the text line and in the YouTube comments as well. It's all coming up on this feel-good Friday edition of 580 Sports Talk. But we begin today with the idea of Chiefs fatigue. Diante Lee of The Ringer wrote about this concept earlier this week, and I believe it came out yesterday, in fact. And I would like to preface this by saying I like Diante Lee's work. I think he does a good job. He wrote for The Athletic for a while. He worked at Pro Football Focus at one point. And if I'm not mistaken, he is also a high school football coach. He's a defensive coordinator for one of the powerhouses in San Diego, California. Played college ball himself. Real smart guy, real sharp guy. I like his work quite a bit in the podcast space in particular. I think he's a good guest talking defensive ball. But he put out this piece, and again, it's called "The NFL Wants You to Watch the Kansas City Chiefs. What Chiefs Fatigue? The NFL is risking over-indexing on Kansas City games in prime time in 2025. So it's over at The Ringer. It's free to read. I recommend you go check it out because I appreciate the argument that he's making, even if I disagree with it. And let's just start right there. I do disagree with this idea that they're making a mistake putting the Chiefs in prime time. And I'll give you my overall thoughts here in a second. But I think there's a couple key pieces of information from this story, from this column, that I would like to bring to you. And again, this is Diante Lee from The Ringer. He says, we're approaching an interesting nexus for the 2025 season. Kansas City's visibility will be as high as any dynasty in American sports history at a time when the Chiefs are a more boring football product than they've ever been in the Mahomes era. Even if your favorite team has been a footnote in the Chiefs' dynasty building over the last half decade, or if you believe they get all the calls, or if you're tired of pregame photos of Taylor Swift in the Arrowhead Stadium tunnel, the reason so many seem to have grown tired of the Chiefs' shtick is because they're overexposed. And that's about to get amplified in 2025, despite the on-field product getting worse in recent years. The sexy, explosive style on offense from the early years of Mahomes' career is long gone. And in recent years, they simply haven't been all that fun to watch. They seemingly only play close, weird games. They won 11 by 8 points or fewer last season. And rather than reveling in their grittiness or greatness, we're more often left wondering how they keep getting away with it. I have been thinking about a text we got to show about midway through last season. I'm paraphrasing. That said, quote, the Chiefs are playing Marty ball with the best QB in the league. So I don't know that he is wrong, Diante Lee of The Ringer, in a lot of the principle of this. That, yes, the enjoyment factor, we've even talked about it on the show. Dan brought it up a number of times during this past season. The wow factor, the pizzazz, the zip, the glitziness of the Chiefs offense that was around in 2018 when Mahomes was a first-year starter and won the MVP, or was around for a lot of 2019, when they won the Super Bowl. 2020, they went back to the Super Bowl with probably a more complete offensive team than we saw even prior to that. It's not there right now. And if you want to really bring this down to a granular level and say it's about Tyreek Hill, I disagree with you, but fine. That's one way to look at this. I thought the offense looked really good in 2022 once it got its footing. That, to me, is still the ultimate Chiefs team of this dynastic run. Because, yes, 2019, it was the first one. Do we have time to run WASP? All that. There's so many memories of it. Tyreek Hill was there. Sammy Watkins was there before he truly was unplayable because of all the injuries. Travis Kelce was at his very best. The defense was starting to come around under Steve Spagnuolo. In fact, first year under Steve Spagnuolo, they really played their best football at the exact right time of year. You bring all those things together. I understand the argument for 2019. 2020 may have been a more complete team overall, but obviously we know what happened with all the offensive line injuries. 21 had its issues. I think 22, because of the Tyreek Hill narratives right after he left, what are they going to do? Is Mahomes going to be exposed? No, I think he's going to be the best version of himself. In fact, that's what 2022 was. 23, yeah, the defense carried him for a large portion of the season. There's no denying that, but the offense did enough to win yet another Super Bowl. And that was the third of the Mahomes-Andy Reid era. And then they went back to the Super Bowl this past year. Again, not as pleasant to watch, maybe not the most fun NFL watch. In the NBA, we've got what they call League Pass teams. They might not be good, but if you're a subscriber to NBA League Pass, you're going to go find a way to watch them. I think my Chicago Cubs are kind of that version. They're the MLB TV team this year. The pitching, I don't know. The offense, it's awesome, though, scoring a bunch of runs all over the place. So a team that scores a ton of runs, but maybe doesn't have the best pitching, but they're going to play fun games, you want to tune in and watch a team like that. The Chiefs are the opposite of that. They're like a team that pitches. They're actually kind of a lot like the Royals, that they pitch really well. They maybe don't have all sorts of explosion, but hey, they get the job done. There's a stat that Lee has in this piece over at The Ringer about how the Chiefs, despite having the best record in football this year, they were just 12th in offensive DVOA. That's the efficiency metric that was founded originally by Aaron Schatz over at Football Outsiders, now at FTN Fantasy. But it's a stat we refer to a lot on this here program. I think it's very effective in talking about efficiency, what your team accomplishes, offense, defense, special teams, and overall. The Chiefs were not great in that regard in terms of the efficiency this past year. And yeah, not a ton of explosion in the passing game, no explosion at all in the running game. Makes plenty of sense. Okay. So I can understand that feeling. Now, I am of the belief, and I said this right after the season ended, right after the debacle against the Eagles in the Super Bowl, I said that I think the Chiefs are going to use this as a chance to retool their thinking about what they want this team to look like. I, again, think that 2022, the way the defense played, the way Mahomes was able to distribute but mix in the explosion when needed, the running game gave you a little bit more of that, certainly more than we got in 2024. I think that is kind of the ideal version of what the Chiefs can look like. Good enough on defense, more than good enough on defense, in fact. We saw George Karlaftis as a rookie. He was great. Trent McDuffie as a rookie was great. Chris Jones might be a Hall of Famer one day. More than good enough on the defensive side of the ball. And an offense that was able to get it done and could still light it up when need to, even if it wasn't needed game in, game out, like it necessarily was back in Mahomes' first MVP season of 2018. That's what I think the Chiefs have tried to do this offseason, is retool things, recalibrate a little bit. That's the word I used at the time, in the immediate aftermath of that Super Bowl loss to Philadelphia. So I can understand if your lasting image is this kind of grinded out Chiefs team that only scored 30 points once all season up until the AFC Championship game, when, to be fair, they did put up 30 plus points in a win over the Buffalo Bills in one of the most entertaining games of the entire NFL season. So I can understand if that is your lasting image of this team. But I do have a couple of thoughts here about the idea that the Chiefs are now overexposed, et cetera, et cetera. One, do you think that's new? I see this all the time on social media, and granted, that's my own fault for spending any amount of time on what is formerly known as Twitter, the everything app. It's all happening on X, or Blue Sky, or Reddit, or Instagram. God forbid the Instagram comments, wherever. It's my own fault for spending too much time in these places. But I see so much of, oh my gosh, the Patriots were never like this. Oh, I see the Chiefs everywhere. You can't escape them. Oh my gosh. It was never like this during the Patriots era. I should have appreciated that more. And my response to that line of thinking is, what? I'm sorry, were you alive during the Patriots dynasty? Because you could not escape them. You could not. John Butchergross of ESPN, longtime SportsCenter anchor, now play-by-play for the NHL, does some studio, I think, on SportsCenter once in a while, once the hockey season ends. He used to call Tom Brady the greatest living American every time he was on TV. Now, granted, was that somewhat facetious? Absolutely. But is that how he was treated all the time, everywhere? Yeah. The only difference is that Tom Brady's marketing people took a totally different approach with him than Patrick Mahomes' publicists and marketing people and his agents, Chris Cabot, Lee Steinberg. The only difference is Patrick Mahomes does more commercials. Tom Brady was much more refined in what he was willing to do commercials for. He was doing magazine spreads for UGG boots instead of doing State Farm ads 10 times an afternoon on a Sunday. That's the difference, because the Patriots were massively overexposed. And you could say, well, they were only overexposed because of the Deflategate thing. Yeah, man. You ever heard the idea that there's no such thing as bad publicity? Yeah. That applied to the New England Patriots dynasty. Either half of their dynasty, whichever part you want to talk about. If you want to call them two separate dynasties, in fact, be my guest. But I see that sort of response all the time. The Patriots didn't always play fun football. Shoot, how many games did they play during their respective parts of their dynasty that essentially came down to, wow, they kind of looked like crap for 3 quarters. Oh, there's Tom Brady. Never count out touchdown, Tom. He'll find a way. They win in the 4th quarter. Isn't that just a different variation of what the Chiefs are doing right now? And I'm not trying to hand wave all of this and say, yeah, the Chiefs are actually beautiful football. It's actually the pinnacle of the aesthetic of the sport of professional football. That's what the Chiefs are doing. Because it's not. I admit that wholeheartedly. Even if I think that the team is going to look different offensively this coming year, I do think there's going to be a more explosive element. I do think there's going to be some more flash, some more pizzazz in the offense this coming year. I genuinely believe that. That is earnest, coming from the bottom of my heart. That's how I feel about this team. But yeah, the last year, certainly year and a half, really season and a half, have not been the most aesthetically pleasing in terms of the quality of the viewing experience for the Kansas City Chiefs. But this isn't new. This is, in fact, something we've heard about for decades at this point, because again, the Patriots were a lot like that. Go back to the first portion of the dynasty. You know what those teams are predicated on for the New England Patriots? Defense. Not exactly a super flashy offense. And I understand the game was different then, early in the 2000s, before Peyton Manning lobbied the league and Tom Brady a little bit to change the passing rules and the illegal contact rules and all that in 2004. I know it was a different kind of game. But still, that was not always the most aesthetically pleasing football that the Patriots were playing, and they were still everywhere. Are we over-indexed on the Dallas Cowboys? That's the second part of my question here. We over-indexed on them, or we overexposed to them? If your answer is yes, well, you're correct for sure. We absolutely are. We see them way too many times every single year. But people watch. Doesn't really matter why they watch. No, not in the NFL's eyes. Because as much as we say when somebody gets let go because of salary cap problems or there's any sort of business of sports thing that comes up that harms a team, especially if it's not your own team, what do we say? NFL is a business. And you can't just hand wave that when it comes to other parts of the business, because it's true. The NFL is a business. And that is number one, the point, the gist, the overall reason for existence for the NFL today. It is a business. And business is booming when 15 in red and gold is on your TV at 3:25 p.m. Central Time on CBS with Nance and Romo on the call, or on America's Game of the Week on Fox with Burkhardt and Brady, or Sunday Night Football, or Monday Night Football, or Thursday Night Football this year when the Chiefs will play on Amazon Prime Video on Christmas night. Business is booming with the Kansas City Chiefs. So I have to reject the thought here at the end of this piece. And again, you can find it at The Ringer. It is free to read. Everything at The Ringer is. The final paragraph here really gets to me, I guess. And I guess it is the final paragraph itself. And the final couple that kind of bring this all together. Let me read this excerpt from Diante Lee at The Ringer. Still, this is a pivotal moment for Kansas City and for modern NFL history. And perhaps that's why the league is betting that fans will get over their Chiefs fatigue and tune in week after week. For all their flaws, the Chiefs are currently no worse than fourth in betting odds to win the Super Bowl. The stakes are high for veteran players, none more than Mahomes. If Kansas City takes a step back in 25 and fails to make another trip to the conference championship game, Mahomes risks becoming the LeBron James of the NFL, unfairly having his GOAT resume held up and evaluated on a year-by-year basis. That's already happening. Go, again, you want to make a Patriots comparison? Go ask Pats fans how they feel about Mahomes' resume versus Brady's. That's already happening. Still, it's odd that the NFL is investing so heavily in this Kansas City team now when there are better teams like the Eagles and Lions and other exciting quarterbacks like Allen and Jackson and Joe Burrow, or even young passers like Drake May and Caleb Williams who could diversify their primetime slate. The NFL seems to be assuming that enough fans will be drawn in by the allure of the Chiefs brand, Kelsey's charisma, Mahomes' quest for all-time greatness to make this scheduling gambit worth it. But the league shouldn't be surprised if over-indexing on the Chiefs makes some viewers take a page from Kendrick Lamar's Super Bowl halftime performance and turn this TV off. That's a lyric. People didn't actually tune it out. It got great ratings. I understand the logic behind what Lee is trying to say here. But guys, the NFL is a business. And again, business is booming when you put Patrick Mahomes on TV. He is a 3-time Super Bowl champion. He has what the kids call aura, even if I hate that phrase. That's what he and Travis Kelce have. You've got the other sideshow stuff that comes with Travis Kelce's personal life and even Patrick Mahomes' personal life at times. And they win and they draw a reaction from you, even if you do not think that they are the most aesthetically pleasing team. And if you're a Chiefs fan, obviously you're fine with it. Heck, the only reason you might not be fine with the Chiefs having this kind of exposure is, God, I don't want to stay up that late watching the game. I got to be up Monday morning. I don't want to stay up till 10:30 watching the game on Sunday night. I got to get to bed. Maybe that's why you don't want the Chiefs to have that kind of primetime exposure. But people are going to tune in because everybody who watches the NFL, even many who don't, will have some kind of feeling about the Kansas City Chiefs. I do not think, and I honestly believe this, the aesthetic, the aesthetic parts of the game, the aesthetic parts of football matter at all when it comes to putting teams in prime time. It comes to, will you have a reaction? Will you watch? It's the Dallas Cowboys principle. The Chiefs will never be the Cowboys in that regard, for more reasons than any, that, they actually have won since we had HD TVs. But if you're going to watch, if you're going to have a reaction, you're going to love them, you're going to hate them, whatever it is, you are going to keep seeing that team make it to prime time. You're going to keep seeing the Kansas City Chiefs. I get there's Chiefs fatigue. I get that you might talk to your buddy who lives in Houston. He's going to say, oh my God, I'm so sick of Mahomes. I can't do it anymore. Your buddy's going to watch. I'm just telling you right now, if he's a football fan, he's going to watch. Anyone who tells you, I can't even watch this stuff. Oh, there's too much Taylor Swift. I can't even watch this team anymore. They're watching. They're lying to you. I'm telling you that right now. They're lying to you. They're going to watch. The NFL knows that they're going to watch. It's the principle we talked about earlier in the week when the schedule came out. I don't love that there are 3 games on Christmas. I'd rather do something else with my time than have to watch 3 Christmas Day football games. But the NFL's too big to fail. They know you're going to watch. They know they've got you. They've got you gripped. Millions upon millions of people, a gigantic portion of Americans are going to be watching the NFL every single Sunday and Monday and Thursday and Friday and Saturday, whenever those games are on over the course of the year. And putting Patrick Mahomes on TV in those prime spots, that's just good business. And we know that the NFL, more than anything else, cares about good business. We'll talk some more Chiefs football later on this hour when Matt Derrick of ChiefsDigest.com swings by for our Chiefs Insider. But on the other side of this first commercial break of the day, some thoughts about the legacy of the 2015 Royals as they get honored this weekend at Kauffman Stadium when the Royals take on the St. Louis Cardinals. We'll get to that 2015 team right after this on 580 Sports Talk. 3:31 on 580 Sports Talk. Brendan Dworzinski here with you. Dan Lucero and Spencer Dupuis will be by in a little bit. A very happy May 16th to those of you who celebrate. And by those of you who celebrate, I mean those of you who remember 1998's May 16th by Lagwagon. Second best song by the California skate punks Lagwagon. Razorburn, of course, is number one. But thank you for joining us today. We've got some more Chiefs football to get to coming up in just a little bit. But first, I wanted to share a quick thought on the 2015 Kansas City Royals. So the 2015 team and the 1985 team, both the World Series winners in Royals history, will be honored this weekend at Kauffman Stadium during the I-70 series. Royals versus Cardinals. We'll preview that series coming up to lead off the 4 o'clock hour today. But I was thinking about the legacy of this team because I did not live through 1985 and that Royals championship team because, well, I was not alive in 1985. Wouldn't be for another 9 years. But I do remember the 2015 team. I remember being an out-of-towner living in Lawrence, going to school at KU at the time. And I remember the hype and the excitement, especially after things ended not so well in 2014. And it's going to be, without question, one of the weirdest World Series winners of all time. Maybe the weirdest we'll ever see again. And that's not to say that it was a fluke. You hear that a lot. Oh, that was a fluke World Series team. Oh, that was a fluke that they got there. The 2005 White Sox, that is a team that had a fluke to get to the World Series. And frankly, to a degree, the 2016 Chicago Cubs. It had been over a century since they had won a World Series. The Royals weren't that. They were in the World Series the prior year. They got to a Game 7. So you can't call it a fluke that the Royals won in 2015, given what they had been for a couple of years there. But they were such a uniquely constructed team that, again, I'm not sure we are ever going to see a World Series champion like the 15 Royals, maybe ever again. A team that's best asset was its bullpen. Winning the World Series is crazy, to be frank. And it was one of the greatest bullpens of all time. We remember HDH. We remember how good they were. Games were essentially 6 innings. We all remember all that stuff. But it is remarkable to say, yes, a team that at its best was dominating you with its bullpen, being the World Series champion is hard to comprehend. I was going through some numbers. I was going through the team on base percentage, okay, of every World Series winner since then. The Royals were 11th in on base percentage across Major League Baseball back in 2015. Since then, we have had 9 World Series. 7 of those 9 winners since the Royals finished in the top 5 in Major League Baseball in team on base percentage. Many of them finished top 2, if not top 3. The closest team, by comparison's sake, to the Royals, the 2021 Atlanta Braves. They finished 12th. They also had 2 MVPs on their team. At least one is a lock for the Hall of Fame from the offensive side of things. Another, Ronald Acuna, may get there one day. The lock is Freddie Freeman. They had all sorts of splashy, big-name talent on that offense that the Royals didn't have at the time. And I don't think anyone would argue with you on that. There was not that same kind of juice in the lineup. The starting pitching, they came through. Huge, obviously. But you look back, no one's going to say, oh, man, that's one of the greatest rotations ever. No, they met the moment. Not one of the greatest ever, though. This is not me being critical. This is me marveling at that Royals team, the way they were constructed, what Dayton Moore, and you know my criticisms of Dayton Moore, but what he was able to do to build a winner with that kind of truly unique construction. We overuse the word unique. That means one of a kind, extremely rare, not uncommon, not just rare, extremely rare. It applies to that team. They were genuinely unique. I don't know that we're going to see another team like them winning a World Series anytime soon. So if you're making it to the K this weekend, enjoy the celebration and enjoy the fact that if you're a Royals fan, you got to see one of the truly most unique World Series champions of all time back in 2015. We've got more Royals baseball to get to in the 4 o'clock and 5 o'clock hour today, including a series preview for the I-70 series coming up in about half an hour. Right now, though, we'll get to a commercial break. Come on back with our Chiefs insider, Matt Derrick of ChiefsDigest.com, coming up on 580 Sports Talk. Let's go to Kansas City, where we are joined by Matt Derrick, our Chiefs insider, beat writer for ChiefsDigest.com. He joins us every Friday at this time on the Fleming Place Wine and Spirits hotline to talk all things Kansas City Chiefs football. Matt, let's dive right into it. We have had the NFL schedule out for a little under 48 hours now. What was your initial reaction, good, bad, indifferent, to how the schedule shook out for the Chiefs this year?
I mean, I really don't think it's too bad of a schedule. I mean, you knew who you were going to play. It was just a matter of where you were going to play them and how you were going to play them. And I think it's okay. You knew the Chiefs were going to get a lot of primetime games. 7's probably one more than I expected. You know, they're going to play a lot of nationally televised windows. I think I've counted 12 maybe altogether right now. I mean, it's what the Chiefs expect. And I wasn't sure about Thanksgiving Day, playing both on Thanksgiving and Christmas. It's a lot. You throw in playing in Brazil. I mean, it's not quite as crazy as last year's with every day of the week except maybe Tuesday. But this year, I mean, it's what you're going to get if you're the Kansas City Chiefs right now.
We checked out a story a little bit earlier today from Diante Lee over at The Ringer about the idea that the Chiefs are being over-indexed on primetime and there's too much Chiefs fatigue out there right now. I don't know, Matt. I'm looking at this schedule and who the Chiefs are going to play in these primetime games. It would be one thing if, like, oh, yeah, it's the Chiefs versus... They put Chiefs Titans in primetime. Okay, maybe that's a stretch. But I mean, we're talking about the Eagles in the Fox premium window in the afternoon. We're talking about the Lions, who are going to be a contender to win the Super Bowl. The Commanders, same thing. The Bills at 325. Like, are we overexposing the Chiefs, or are we kind of ignoring the fact that they are really good and they're going to keep getting the best shot from all of these other Super Bowl contenders?
I mean, I don't think they're ever exposed at all. I mean, the only game that I really look at the primetime games and tilt my head at a little bit is at the Giants in week 3. But that's the largest television market in the country. You have the largest television market in the country and the number 1 drawing team. Why wouldn't you put that on in prime time? And if you're going to do that, you do it in week 3, because you can't do that game in week 12 when maybe the Giants at that point are 2-9. You got to do it early. So, and that's the thing. I mean, the response to, I think, any of the Chiefs are overexposed. I mean, the NFL kind of knows what they're doing. And the fact of the matter is that, when the Patriots were getting these kind of schedules, the reason why is because people watch whether they wanted them to win or lose. And that's certainly the case right now. I mean, the numbers, everything says fans watch Chiefs games. It doesn't mean they want them to win. Some of them may want them to lose, and maybe there is still a little bit of a Taylor Swift effect. But I mean, the NFL will tell you. I mean, and for generations, I mean, the number 1 drawing team on television has been the Dallas Cowboys. Last year, that wasn't true. Last year, the Chiefs were the number 1 televised team. I mean, the fans tuned in. It'd be overexposed if you were putting them in these windows and nobody watched. That's not what's happening. And maybe this will be the year. Who knows? I doubt it. I mean, if people are going to stop watching Chiefs games, I think it's going to be more of a gradual effect. But I fully expect it again this year. I mean, and that Thanksgiving game against Dallas, NFL's trying to break some records. I mean, they're trying to see if they can get the most people ever to watch an NFL game.
Matt Derrick is our guest. He covers the Kansas City Chiefs for ChiefsDigest.com and joins us every Friday, bottom of the 3 o'clock hour, for our Chiefs Insider on the Fleming Place Wine and Spirits Hotline. Let's talk about the holidays here, because while you're right, the Chiefs aren't going to play on 6 of the 7 days of the week this year. You have the international game early. That is a Friday game. You're going to play Thursday for Thanksgiving. You're going to play Thursday for Christmas. We know that the NFL rebuffed Clark Hunt when he said, hey, we want to be the Christmas team. And the NFL said, yeah, we're probably not going to do that. Does this get to be a grind on the team when every holiday, every chance possible to put the Chiefs in a unique position for a game time, that they are going to get put there? It's been Black Friday. It's been all sorts of different windows. Does that wear on this team a little bit?
It's a great question. And I'm not sure that I've seen it do that. I mean, I think a few years ago, when maybe the Chiefs were first starting to get into this and everything, I think you did see a little bit of it wear on them. They just weren't used to the breakup and the routine. I'm not sure Andy Reid was even used to the breakup and routine, and they had some adjustments. But I think now it's just one of the things that they embrace. I mean, anybody that comes new to this team, I mean, and they see how many times they're going to be on national television and how many times they're going to be in prime time, and they love it. And and the guys that have been around for a while, like I said, I mean, I feel like the message from Travis Kelce's and the Patrick Mahomes and the Chris Joneses is just that it's a kind of a bring it on. They know it's tough, they know it's a challenge, but they appreciate that. They kind of embrace it. So I don't get anybody that by week 16 is kind of just like, boy, gosh, we really would just love a noon game at Arrowhead. Kind of tired of all this stuff. This team kind of loves the spotlight. So I don't think they've got a problem with it at all.
Matt, do you like how the schedule broke down with, on paper, most of the most challenging opponents in the first half of the schedule, and then the quote-unquote lighter portion of it in the second half? I love the week 10 bye week, really splitting things up perfectly right down the middle. Do you like having the supposedly tougher matchups earlier?
Yeah, I mean, the bye weeks, I mean, that's like, to me, like the third best bye week, maybe the fourth best, because best is Thanksgiving, and then it's just like every other week as late as you can possibly get a bye week. So 10 is great. It's, week 6, it's like just for the birds. So I think it broke up well. I mean, and you've got 2 back-to-back road games, at any point in the schedule, and they're both broken up by a bye week. You've got one stretch where you got 2 games at home, and another where you got three straight home games. So I think that works out pretty favorably. You look at Warren Sharp's numbers as far as rest advantage. Chiefs are like plus 2 days of rest, so that I think works out well for them. They don't really have it looks like a terrible stretch where they've got a bunch of games in a row where they're a negative rest deficit. You look at all these things, and I mean, I think it's pretty favorable. I mean, I would, if I'm a coach, and maybe they've got it because you look at, you got the Chargers in week 15, and you got the Broncos in week 17. If they're good, they can test you. I think you like to have some tough games down the stretch, because I don't think you want to be having 4 or 5 games in a row of maybe some cupcakes, and then you've got to get ready for the playoffs, and all of a sudden you're facing a caliber of team that maybe you haven't seen in a month and a half, 2 months. So I think that's okay. I mean, the only difficult thing I think for the Chiefs standpoint is just where are you mentally if you go to the bye and you're 4-5. Maybe you're in a spot that you're just not used to. I mean, this team there's no doubt. I mean, the schedule is set up that it can help them pull out of a spot like that. But, what if things, with the toughness of the early schedule does get to them, and maybe they lose some games that they don't think that they're going to lose? That's the really only downside risk that I think I can see with this schedule.
What would you say, Matt, is the toughest 3-game stretch on the schedule this year?
Yeah, that's a really good question. I mean, I think it's right out of the box, and I think you could probably either I would probably say it's weeks 2, 3, and 4. If you want to say it's weeks 1, 2, and 3, I could go for that. But 2, 3, and 4 is tough to me because, one, obviously the Eagles game is going to be tough. It's going to be emotional. That's going to be brutal. And hey, you know what? September 14th at Arrowhead can be pretty warm too. So 3:25 kickoff, not great for that. I mean, it could be a spicy one. And then, I mean, Giants is kind of a classic trap game. I mean, having to go on the road in between the Eagles and the Ravens. I mean, that shouldn't be a game that you worry about too much. But at the same time, I mean, you don't really know what the Giants are. And if you're coming off a loss to the Eagles, or, maybe you're a little down, or if you're coming off a win, maybe you're a little too high. And then you've got the Ravens the following week. Overlooking the Giants could be very, very easy. And then you got the Ravens. So, I mean, that's 2 of your toughest games in a 3-week stretch. So there's a couple of spots. And even, you get the 2-game stretches. I mean, Commanders and Buffalo back-to-back is going to be a tough one. Even Cowboys, Texans could be a tough stretch. But I think just because of the opponents and the way that it stacks up there, especially with that Giants game sandwiched in between of maybe being a classic trap type of game, that's, I think, the toughest stretch to me.
Final couple of questions for Matt Derrick, our Chiefs insider from ChiefsDigest.com. Joins us every Friday at this time for our Chiefs insider on the Fleming Place Wine and Spirits Hotline. Make sure you check out all of his fantastic work covering the Chiefs at ChiefsDigest.com. All right, Matt, have you gone through all 17 games up and down, picked win-loss, win-loss? Have you done that? And what is the record prediction now that we know the slate?
I haven't done it yet because I'm still going through. I'm getting more particular in my old age, so now I kind of want to see where I think the other teams are going to be. I want to see. Okay, wait a minute. What does Broncos have their 3-game stretch in between this? So I'm going to finish that up over the weekend. But I know that the Vegas has got the Chiefs are like an 11.5 win team. I mean, I take the over on that. I mean, because I think just giving a generic schedule, I think this team is going to be what it's been the last couple of years, and that they've been an average of a 13-win team. So I expect when I go through and add it all up together, I will probably come in between that 12 and 14 range.
Will you be making the trip to Brazil?
We will see. Maybe I may have to, recruit a sponsor for that one. But it'd be a fun one. I mean, I know that I have not traveled and covered an international game before. I've heard they can be a little challenging with the logistics, but that the NFL does this kind of best they can. Just that every once in a while you kind of get left behind, or you don't end up in the right spot. But it'd be a lot of fun because it does sound like Brazil is an incredible environment. And hey, it's technically winter in Brazil, so it might be relatively nice weather-wise, right?
That's true. It almost certainly will be nicer weather-wise there than it will be here the first week of September when it's still going to be face-meltingly hot outside. I will tell you this, Matt. I was watching last year's Brazil game very intently since the Packers were in it. They took on the Eagles. That was during the time when Twitter was shut down in Brazil. It was banned by the Brazilian government. So beat writers who were there for both teams were texting their wives or families back in the States, gave them their Twitter passwords, and then allowed them to tweet for them. So just be careful if you're going to be on social media that who knows how much you'll actually be able to do.
Yeah, and if I had to do that and everything, there's pretty good chance that if Nancy's in charge of my Twitter account, you'll end up with less about football, and you might end up with just pictures of cats and bears and things like that. So,
is she also a fan of Fat Bear Week?
Oh, she's the one that started the whole thing. So yeah, no, she's anxiously awaiting when the cams come back up for the summer and everything. She's already on the message boards, checking to see out which bears have already come out of hibernation and have shown their faces up in the Katmai National Park. So she's on it.
I absolutely love that. Matt Derrick joins us every Friday for our Chiefs Insider. You can find his fantastic work covering the Super Bowl champion, well, 3-time straight Super Bowl participant, Kansas City Chiefs, over at ChiefsDigest.com. Matt, as always, man, we appreciate the time. We'll talk to you next Friday.
I appreciate you too, Brendan. Take care, my friends.
That is the great Matt Derrick joining us for our Chiefs Insider. Let's get to a quick timeout. We'll come on back and wrap up this 3 o'clock hour, 1 hour earlier for 1 hour earlier for On Second Thought this week. There's an On Second Thought for you. That's coming up to wrap up the hour of 580 Sports Talk. All right, on second thought time here on 580 Sports Talk. because, well, I'm alone. I can't do Change My Mind with nobody. So we're going to do Change My Mind coming up at the end of the 4 o'clock hour when the studio starts to fill up. Dan will be in. Spencer will be in as well. Whole crew with you for the final 2 hours of the week. But my on second thought, unfortunately, has to come down to that Cole Reagans versus Garrett Crochet matchup. Remember that last weekend? How excited I was for, oh my gosh, this unbelievable battle of aces. Crochet for the Red Sox, Reagans for the Royals. This is going to be awesome. And Cole Reagans had probably his worst start of the year. It happens sometimes, but yeah, that was unfortunate. Cole Reagans still that guy, still my dude, but yeah, sometimes it happens. Would have loved a pitcher's duel instead of Reagans getting slammed, but well, slammed for Reagans is different than slammed for, your Eric Skoglunds of the world. Sorry, Eric, didn't need to just drive by right there. But hey, it happens sometimes. That does it for the 3 o'clock hour of 580 Sports Talk. Coming up, though, in the 4 o'clock hour, after we get to the national and local news, we've got plenty of Royals baseball to touch on as we preview this weekend's series, the I-70 series on MLB rivalry weekend against the St. Louis Cardinals. We will get to that. We'll find our weekly winner in What Is Wrong With You. We'll play Change My Mind, and we will get ready for the Preakness Stakes, leg 2 of the Triple Crown, even though we already know we won't have a Triple Crown winner this year. Our guy, our horse racing expert, Andy Weingarten, will join the show to recap the Derby, find out why Sovereignty is not going to run in the Preakness, and we'll preview that race as well. We still want to hear from you on the text line, 785-272-9429, or you can drop us a comment in the live YouTube feed as well. Go find us on YouTube at 580 Sports Talk. All that is coming up after the news next hour on 580 Sports Talk.
Let's get it. Hour number 2 on this Friday edition of 580 Sports Talk. And the gang's all here on the sports voice of Kansas, 580 WIBW FM 104.9, online at 580WIBW.com and streaming live on YouTube. Our channel is 580 Sports Talk. We're also live on Facebook at WIBW News. Brendan Dworzinski's been here the whole time. I'm Dan Lucero. I am just joining you along with Spencer Dupuis as well. Brendan holding it down. I was on daddy duty. Had a sick kiddo. Had to go attend to. Not an ear infection.
Nice.
So that's the good news. We're hoping that we got what it was very early and can keep it from progressing into something particularly unpleasant for our little guy, our 11-month-old.
I hope so as well.
Yeah, especially because it's never just the kid who gets sick.
Nope.
Yeah. No. Never, not once. So.
My wife is finally almost healthy after being sick for about 3.5 weeks. So I hear you.
Yeah, I'll tell you this. We got he got a nice little nap. That's for sure.
I'm sure.
So that's why I'm a little delayed today. Delayed but not denied. Happy to be with you folks. We're so glad you're with us here on 580 Sports Talk on this Friday. Lots more to get to here in the intervening 2 hours of the program before we hand things off at 6 o'clock to the Royals Baseball Network for pregame coverage before Game 1 of the I-70 series at the K, Royals and Cardinals tonight. We're going to talk a little Royals baseball, including some disappointing breaking news for the weekend for Kansas City, and not related to who will be at the ballpark for Champions Weekend either. Sounds like Seth Lugo will miss at least one start for the boys in blue. We've also got What Is Wrong With You coming up this hour, and also this hour, we go to our horse racing correspondent, Andy Weingarten, for a preview of the Preakness Stakes. That's coming up bottom of this hour. The final Preakness at Pimlico in its current form. They're shutting it down, tearing it down, rebuilding Pimlico, which is where they've run the Preakness for many, many years. Going to run it at a different racetrack in the Maryland area before they shut that one down for good, Laurel Park, the next 2 years. Also, we know there will not be a Triple Crown winner this year because who was it?
Sovereignty.
I was going to call him Solitude. That's not quite right. Close. Of the same spirit.
Yeah.
But no, Sovereignty not running the Preakness Stakes. So no Triple Crown drama going into the second leg of the horse racing Triple Crown. But we'll get Andy's thoughts on the race coming up bottom of this hour. So we got headlines and a playoff roundup. A what if for the Royals from the Diggin Deep podcast that I thought was fun to kind of game out a little bit. I'll tell you what Dayton Moore said. He was offered for Eric Hosmer all the way back in 2013. We'll preview Game 1 of Royals Cardinals. We'll take your thoughts as well. The text line, 785-272-9429 is the number. That's 785-272-9429. You can also comment in the live chat on YouTube. If you are watching the show on our YouTube channel, 580 Sports Talk, there is a live chat feature on the web browser or mobile device. If you're logged in, you can interact in the chat with us and your fellow listeners. So good afternoon to all of you viewing on our YouTube channel, 580 Sports Talk. Check it out if you've never done it before, and subscribe if you have not done so to that YouTube channel, 580 Sports Talk.
I did share while you were gone the embarrassing story of you guys at the Christmas party last year, the one that involved the green Jell-O and eggnog and a rendition of "Rockin' Around the Christmas Tree." I did share that with everyone.
So disappointing. That was all told to you in confidence, and
shared the picture from my phone on the YouTube and everything.
Now that's why nobody's watching. Right?
I'm surprised the YouTube didn't flag the video and take it down, and we're live right now. What?
They're gonna yank it down for sure. So
dock our pay for the Christmas party, and that's the biggest joke here.
No, thank you for holding it down for the first hour. Letting me get a little play hero dad, go pick up a prescription, all that good stuff. So we're back at it. Let's dive in. Let's talk some Royals baseball. We'll get to the breaking news first. This from Matt Quatrero's media availability earlier this afternoon, informing the media that Seth Lugo has inflammation in his right middle finger. If I ever got that, it would be due to overuse.
I was going to say,
but a different kind of overuse than maybe Seth Lugo's dealing with. I guess that's, you throw 28 different kinds of pitches, you're putting a lot of strain on on the digits. But little inflammation in the right middle finger. The hope for now, according to Joel Goldberg on X, is that Lugo will not need a trip to the injured list. It'll be Noah Cameron who gets the call. That's why you saw the move today. I thought it was really curious why Taylor Clark was added to the paternity list. I didn't find that curious. I know where babies come from, and congratulations to the Clark family. But he was added to the paternity list. and
the baby looked at me.
Hopefully nothing happened in a janitorial closet. Dairon Blanco was promoted. And I thought that was strange to not bring up a bullpen arm. But presumably the Royals will make a move to add an arm. And I suppose you feel like with a day off, you've got all hands on deck for the bullpen tonight anyway. Plus, it's Cole Reagans on the mound. So ideally, you shouldn't have to use much more than one or two of those guys, although Reagans has been less than efficient at times this year. Still, 7 relief arms should be efficient to carry you through the first game of this series, and then you can call Cameron up and make any adjustments you need to make from there. So it's going to be Noah Cameron tomorrow for the Royals, not Seth Lugo, who will be skipped due to inflammation in his right middle finger. So that is the news from the Royals today. Disappointing, certainly, as Lugo has been throwing the ball well, as we've detailed, but I'm excited to get a second look at Noah Cameron, and this will be a real cool one, too, for the St. Joseph, Missouri native to get to play at the K for the first time. His second career start, his first one, of course, was out in Tampa Bay, so he'll get a chance to pitch at home against the Cardinals. That's got to be really cool for the 25-year-old Southpaw.
Not that it wasn't going to be very packed tomorrow at the K, obviously because of reunion weekend for the World Series, but I bet there's a lot more people going to the K than maybe originally planned. I wouldn't be surprised if it's legit a sellout tomorrow.
A bunch of custom Cameron jerseys, I imagine, will make an appearance.
I would imagine one section, too. You'll see them.
It is a championship weekend for the Kansas City Royals. You spoke about this earlier, Brendan. The 85 champs are being honored tonight. The George Brett and Brett Saberhagen bobblehead is extremely cool. That's going to be given away. If you're going to the game from here, you may leave now. Just make sure you get there.
I hope you already left, man.
Honestly, I hope you're hearing it from the car. You're well on your way, to out to the Kauffman Stadium to be a part of things tonight. They have the list of players who are scheduled to attend. All appearances subject to change, of course. But they've got some obviously big names. George Brett's going to be there. John Wathan, Frank White, Willie Wilson. Charlie Lebrand will be there. Danny Jackson, Aurora, Colorado, same as yours truly, by the way. Aurora Central High School.
Hey.
Steve Balboni will be there. Buddy Biancalana is scheduled to attend. Hal McRae. Daryl Motley. Did you see the story at Royals.com? Apparently, in the Royals clubhouse during that 85 playoff run, there was a wager made that whoever caught the final out of the World Series or made the final out of the World Series would everybody give them $100. Everybody would pony up and give $100 to whoever caught the final out. Daryl Motley, of course, caught the final out. Never got his $100. George Brett ponied up. And there's photos today of Daryl Motley proudly holding a crisp $100 bill from George Brett, finally paying off that promise from 1985 after Motley caught the final out of Game 7 of that series. Saturday's when the 2015 team is scheduled to be honored, and boy, it'd be easier to tell you who wouldn't be there. Sounds like the gang will all be there. Alcides Escobar, Lorenzo Cain, Eric Hosmer, Wade Davis, Mike Moustakas, Jeremy Guthrie, Kendrys Morales. Salvador Perez is going to be there.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm glad Sal cleared his schedule. Yeah. I love how they have his name under the 2015 players attending. Salvador Perez. You don't say.
I hope he's be attending. Hopefully he's not missing in action.
So, Ben Zobrist will be there. Edinson Volquez, Jason Vargas. Vargy pitched a heck of a game. Drew Butera. I hope he's still got that great hair. Tim Collins, the little guy. Loved Tim Collins. Tim Collins was 5'7", and that might have been a lie. Honestly, he might have been 5'5", but I love Tim Collins. Alex Gordon, of course. Terrence Gore will be there. It's a star-studded event this week, and they're giving away a replica championship ring on May 17th. It's tomorrow night's game. So, and if you are going to that one, again, get there early. Get there for the replica. Get there an hour before first pitch for the on-field ceremony. Anyhow, That's what's going on off the field before the game. On the field, Royals are trying to get right. They've lost 4 of their last 5, including the series loss in Houston and the series loss at home to Boston. But the Royals are 16-7 at Kauffman Stadium so far this season. They've done a really nice job protecting their home field. They'll look to do so again against a Cardinals team who comes in as one of the hottest teams in baseball.
Frauds.
We'll get there.
Smoke and mirrors.
Probably, but also
Provel is gross.
They're
Provel, excuse me.
Provel, yeah, it's called Provel.
It's gross. It is disgusting.
By any name, absolutely revolting.
That pizza sucks, dude. It's so bad.
St. Louis style pizza is a sin. It's a sin, and then they try to steal valor with St. Louis style barbecue. That's stolen valor too. Come on,
bad. Then the funny thing is, like, the Italian in St. Louis is good enough that it's not even a bad food city. But
no, it is absolutely not a bad food city.
The things that get marketed the most, bad.
Yes. Like
objectively bad.
You could go get a dynamite plate of like Italian food pretty much anywhere you want. Oh, certainly if you go to the Hill.
Yeah, one of the best meals I've ever had. I had in St. Louis a couple years ago.
No, I believe
incredible.
It. I 100% believe you. But yeah, they want to.
That pizza's terrible.
They want to talk about that pizza. When I started doing radio in Kansas, I did morning drive in Wichita for a couple years, and I heard from people because you got Cardinals fans in these neck of the woods. I know we're talking to some Cardinals fans out there. We're talking to some people maybe spent some time in St. Louis, maybe lived there for a while, maybe have family out there. St. Louis is more their spot than Kansas City is their spot. You grew up Cardinals fans, and I would hear from listeners, and they were good-natured about it, which I appreciated, because sometimes I wasn't. I was much younger then, and I was not so good-natured about the things that I said about the St. Louis Cardinals on the radio. And I would hear from them say, man, you got to take it easy on us. I like your show, but God, can you take it easy on the Cardinals? Can you take it easy on Cardinal fans a little bit? Because that's the one thing that drives me nuts about the Cardinals is the whole BFIB thing.
Yeah.
Oh, they're the best fans of baseball. They invented clapping for bunts. You ask Cardinals fan, nobody ever gave a standing ovation for moving a runner from second to third with one out before Cardinals fans. They invented that. Nobody appreciates baseball except Cardinals fans. I always thought that was the biggest load of crap that ever existed. They were the only good baseball town in America. It's nonsense. And here I go again. I'm doing it again. But I used to give them all kinds of hell for that. But this is a funny season for the Cardinals. Funny, not like ha-ha funny. I guess I should use a different word. It's an interesting spot the Cardinals find themselves in at this stage of the 2025 season, because they went into this year expecting that, like last year, they weren't going to be very good. They had planned to trade Nolan Arenado, one of their franchise cornerstones at third base. They had all but traded him to Houston before Arenado nixed the deal. There were other teams who were interested. Arenado was not interested when the Royals kicked on those tires. When the Tigers made some overtures to the Cardinals, Arenado's got a no trade clause. He was turning those down. Paul Goldschmidt was allowed to walk in free agent. He's hitting 350, by the way. Can you believe that? He looked dunner than dinner last year.
Yeah, he did.
And that dude's hitting 350 for the Yankees. Like, it's not elite power anymore, but what?
Yeah, it's pretty incredible.
Yankees devil magic, I guess. Anyhow.
Well, yeah, I mean, when you can hit a 240-foot pop-up and, hit a home run.
So this was not expected to be a contention year for the Cardinals. They went into this year figuring, okay, we're going to evaluate some young players, probably going to trade our veterans, if not before the season, then certainly at the deadline. And those were the expectations. And for the first 33 games of this season, the Cardinals were playing to those expectations. They lost to the Mets back on May 7th, or 2nd, excuse me. They were 14-19 at that stage. They have won 10 of 11 since. Now, you have to adjust for the caliber of the opponent here. They did win 2 over the Mets, and they just took a series against the Phillies. Verifiably good teams. But they've also got sweeps of the Pirates and Nationals in there. 2 of the 4 worst teams in the National League. So they have gotten hot, kind of like the Royals did. Got hot and were able to kind of fatten up against some lesser competition. And so here they sit coming into the weekend, 24-20 overall. Came into today a game back of the Cubs in the National League Central. Cubs played this afternoon, right? Did they win or?
Yeah, 13-3.
Okay, so it's a 1.5 game lead now.
Smoked them
in that division. Who are they playing?
With the White Sox.
Oh yeah, it's rivalry weekend. I forgot.
Yeah,
that old chestnut that we all.
May I interject?
Of course.
I was originally going to be very hard on the whole rivalry week thing. I was like, all right, stop forcing this crap. And then I took a step back and I thought, you know what? Actually, I'm cool with it. Like, I like the idea of baseball doesn't have a lot of rivalries like that today. There really just aren't that many of them. At least, especially when you involve a lot of these series that go across cities, across leagues, whatever, you don't get a ton of that. So I kind of like, now the more I've thought about it, you get Cubs versus White Sox, Royals versus Cardinals. You get the Subway Series in New York, the I-5 series. Do they still call it that in LA?
The Freeway Series.
Freeway Series, yeah. You get some good ones. Nats, Orioles,
Beltway Series.
The Beltway Series, yep. So that's cool. MLB today put out a graphic. I have to go find this. I believe they put it out today, listing all of the rivalries that are being played this weekend. Okay. I need to go find this. And a couple of them are like, it just says interleague rivals for a number of them. Like, yes, that rivalry that is definitely real. Who are the Rockies playing?
The Diamondbacks.
Yes. Interdivision rivals. No, don't do that.
So
don't pretend.
There are 4 of them that are extremely awkward fits. You have the Tigers and the Blue Jays, which at least you've got some proximity between Detroit and Toronto, right? Like,
sure,
there's at least some
something there.
Geographic proximity. You're over the bridge. Okay, fine. I can live with Detroit, Toronto. The Braves and the Red Sox. Okay, who's alive that remembers when the Braves played in Boston? Nobody. Almost literally, the answer to that is nobody. That's the tie, I suppose. You say, oh, yeah, the old Boston Bees, the Boston Bean Eaters, and they became the Atlanta Braves all those years later, and now they returned to their ancestral home to take on the Red Sox. All right, fine. If you squint, you can see it. You got to be real deep in the weeds of baseball history because, again, nobody's alive that remembers the Braves being in Boston. Rockies, Diamondbacks, again, awkward fit, but it's geography. Those are the only 2 teams that ever play games in the Mountain Time Zone. Mm-hmm. So geography, both teams were expansion teams in the 1990s. All right, you can sell it to me. The funniest one by far is the Mariners and the Padres.
The Vetter Cup.
Is that what they call it?
Yeah, that's the Vetter series. They are vying for Eddie Vetter's affection.
Well, they'll never win because Vetter's a Cubs fan.
Yes, that's the irony of it. No, I'm serious. They call that the Vetter Cup.
That rules, actually.
Oh, we got the poop series, too.
Pirates, Phillies.
Yeah.
Gonna need a little more expository on that before you just blurt something like that out on the radio.
Hey, I mean, the way the Phillies are playing to start the season, maybe.
They don't even use the score bug anymore.
They updated that score bug for this year.
Yeah, okay. Because you might not know exactly what bizarre internet-focused thing we're talking about.
Right.
On, what was it, NBC Sportsnet in Philly, I believe, the old graphic for the score would put the 2 logos on the outside of the graphic and the scores on the inside next to each other. Mm-hmm. So when 2 teams with P logos, Pirates and Phillies, would play each other and the score was 0-0, it would read P00P or poop.
Right. So yeah, but
now it just says Pitt and Phil.
Yes, they have changed the score bug, as I mentioned. So anyway, back to the Cardinals. Thought they were going to be bad. They're actually playing pretty well. Why is that? Well, they have some young guys who are making bigger leaps than maybe they expected. Mason Wynn's been really good. It's a big step forward for their young shortstop. Matthew Liberator's been dynamite. The Royals are going to see him Saturday as the starting pitcher. Victor Scott looks like an actual big league hitter and less like a rich man's Terrence Gore, which is kind of what I thought he was. But even he's hitting above average right now. The veterans are off to good starts. Nolan Arenado, Wilson Contreras, both of whom I wouldn't be shocked if they're wearing different uniforms in late July and August and September. Arenado's cooled after a hot first couple of weeks, but Contreras is swinging a good bat playing first base. One of the biggest things to me, and I think Cardinal fans would agree with me, Lars Nootbaar being in the lineup every day makes a difference. That's a good ball player.
Yep.
And he has dealt with some injuries the last couple of seasons, but he's been out there every day. 43 of the 44 games, in fact, for the Cardinals. And he's been one of their best hitters. 373 on base, 435 slug, 9 doubles, 7 homers, 24 runs driven in. Just a good ball player.
Yep.
And
good defender, too, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah, fair defender out there in left field as well. So having a guy like that be sort of your catalyst, and then they've got a bunch of guys who are just very Cardinal-type players. Brendan Donovan is hitting 313. Mm-hmm. I don't expect that to last, but that's what's happening. Alec Burleson is around league average and has been one of their better players. It's not a spectacular roster. It's not a spectacular pitching staff. They don't miss a lot of bats. The guys that the Royals see this weekend, nobody's got an above-average strikeout rate. Andre Palante and Miles Michaelis, who pitched the first 2 nights of this series, each striking out less than 6 batters per 9. That doesn't work for starting pitchers in Major League Baseball in 2025. And if you can make it work for a game or a week or a month, it doesn't work for long. And that's why both of those guys have ERAs in the mid-4s. And Palante's fielding independent numbers suggest he should be even worse than that. So it's not a bat-missing staff. It's actually probably one of the worst bat-missing staffs in all of baseball. So should be a lot of contact generated by the Royals. But again, they're in a spot where they got to get right a little bit. And this is not a team playing like they're going to roll over and be the get-right series. So Royals going to have to take it. And one guy who can set the tone for that is the guy on the mound tonight. This is a great time to have Cole Reagans on the bump because we have broken down the numbers that he has been a stopper for this team, and like to see him be that again tonight.
He is also not someone I mentioned earlier on Second Thought that I was hyping up that Reagans versus Crochet matchup the other day, and that did not go very well for the Royals. But Cole Reagans is not someone who generally, and I hope this isn't another on Second Thought for next week, he's not somebody who often has back-to-back duds. He is not someone who over the last almost year and a half now has had like, oh man, this is a real slump for Reagans. Even when he hasn't been at his best for multiple games in a row, he's still going to keep you in the ball game. This would be a good spot for him to continue that trend and to be able to have good bounce back stuff. He always has had that. I have no reason to doubt that he'll have that here as well. It also helps, by the way, to have Michael Wacha, I think, going in the final game of this series.
Sure.
You sandwich Cameron on Saturday with your best pitcher, one of the best pitchers in the American League, in my opinion, at the front in Reagans, and Wacha, who is just so steady in everything he does on the backside of it. It doesn't, like, those two guys alone are not going to make Cameron in the middle pitch better. It's not like having 2 elite guards around a bad center.
Sure.
Like, that's not how it works. But in terms of what do you want to accomplish this weekend, it helps to have those 2 guys bookending the series.
The Royals took the I-70 series last year, 3 games out of 4. If you remember last year, it was still the 2 at home, 2 on the road breakdown. Now that rivalry weekend has been expanded, they're giving each team 3 apiece at the other's ballpark. So, but the Royals did win the series last year. It was split back in 2023. St. Louis has dominated the all-time series, which is you would expect, given the nature of how the Cardinals have been since interleague play and how the Royals have mostly been since the advent of interleague play. But the all-time regular season series, 76-52 in favor of the Redbirds. Royals will try and change that this weekend. We'll take a timeout here in 580 Sports Talk. Andy Weingarten's going to join us in a little while, and we will get his thoughts on the Preakness Stakes, previewing the second leg of horse racing's Triple Crown. But first, a round of What Is Wrong With You after this timeout. We're rolling along, hour number 2, 580 Sports Talk. What is wrong with you on 580 Sports Talk is brought to us by State Farm agent Ryan Mo Winkle. Mo Winkle Insurance and Financial Services. If you've got some problems in those areas of your life, you need insurance, you need financial services, call Mo. He know. Mo, 785-273-1572.
Mo knows. Need to get a Photoshop
Mo
of Mo
knows.
on the Bo Jackson picture.
That's perfect.
Yeah.
That's what I was looking for. That's what I was looking for, kind of grasping for, and you pinned it right down.
Try to recreate it right in front of the building with the bat and the shoulder pads.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, man, iconic poster.
I'm way too skinny to do that pose, by the way. Like, I'm sure every kid who had that poster did that pose at
Get you
home.
some kicker shoulder
Yeah,
pads.
I'm way too skinny.
Get you a pair of the shoulder pads that, like, Jan Stenerud wore.
Yeah. Yeah, Michael Bennett's pads. I can wear those.
785-273-1572. Ryan Mo Winkle's number. 2 new stories today. Current champion. Thank you for shooting yourself at Walmart. It's been a very self-explanatory story. Guy had a gun at Walmart in Miami-Dade and shot himself. So that's our current weekly champion. And blood and simple. We're going to remember some guys. We're going to remember a guy with my What Is Wrong With You today. What do y'all remember about Rafael Furcal?
I remember him as a Brave.
Yeah.
Yes. Rafael Furcal played 14 years in the Bigs for 4 different teams. The first 6 of those seasons coming with the Braves.
Dodger?
Yes. After that, he was a Dodger.
Yep.
Spent a little time late in his career with the Cardinals, where he was somehow an all-star. Okay, Cardinal fans, you definitely voted Rafael Furcal an all-star starter in 2012, did you?
You went to the World Series in 2011 with the Cardinals.
Y'all definitely did that because he wasn't good or even like close to good in 2012. That was definitely a Cardinal fans
Omar Infante moment.
Rigging the ballot box. Yeah, finished his career with 9 games as a Marlin, which I had forgotten. But now I look forward to using him as a Marlin on the Immaculate Grid. The Marlins and the Brewers, the teams I'm worst with on the grid.
Yeah, Brewers are tough. A team that plays the Cubs all the time, and I don't know any of them.
I know like 6 Brewers all the time. It's the damnedest thing. Anyway, Rafael Furcal had a nice career, 1,817 hits. He was a 3-time All-Star. He was the 2000 Rookie of the Year. And he had a rocket arm at shortstop, which is why it was fitting that one of the charges against him following a Monday incident in Broward County involves him throwing a missile into an occupied vehicle. Furcal turned himself into authorities on Wednesday, according to arrest records, following a Monday incident that also has him staring down an aggravated battery with a deadly weapon charge. Under Florida statute 790.19, a stone or other hard substance which would produce death or great bodily harm is considered a missile. Now, the incident reportedly happened after Furcal was returning from dropping off his son at school. His son, Rafael Jr., is a freshman on the San Jacinto College baseball team.
I know somebody that played there.
Sanjak, yeah. You know who plays Sanjak? Roger Clemens.
No.
So there you go. That's something you know now.
How about that?
Rafael Furcal, in an interview with local radio personality and per Hector Gomez on Major League Baseball insider with ties to players from the Dominican and the Caribbean on X, he has told his side of the story that a truck driver attacked him with a knife and he hit him in the hand with a rock.
No.
So that is what happened. Somebody turned a knife on Rafael Furcal, and he threw a rock at him and must have done enough damage to get charged with throwing a deadly missile into an occupied vehicle.
Wow.
So
I love that charge.
Yeah,
that's really funny.
Yeah, it's I want to get the wording exactly right, but yes, a rock or something like it is considered a missile,
a projectile.
Yeah, you would maybe use the term projectile, but this is Florida, and they're very extra.
Right.
So it's a felony charge of throwing a missile into a public or private dwelling.
Wow.
The arrest warrant completed by a Sunrise, Florida Police Department detective says that Furcal threw multiple rocks and a plastic bottle at the victim after the two nearly collided while driving in a Publix parking lot. The victim exited the vehicle to confront Furcal after Furcal initially threw rocks and the bottle at the victim's truck. Furcal picked up a larger rock the size of a small palm, per the warrant, and threw it at the victim. The victim raised his hand to block the rock, but the rock caused several lacerations to his hand. The victim then chased Furcal and punched him multiple times This dude duffed out a Major League Baseball All-Star.
Yeah, no kidding.
Got that
Jeez.
story for him. Furcall ran to his truck, fled the parking lot, turned himself in 2 days later. Anyway, that's the Rafael Furcall throwing a missile story. Spencer, what do you got?
Yeah, we're going to go to Charlotte, North Carolina. A Popeyes manager was arrested was accused of shooting his coworker over burnt biscuits last week.
I'm going to stop you right there. I understand.
According to an affidavit from law enforcement in North Carolina, Rodney Wood was arrested and charged with attempted first-degree murder, and the incident happened around May 11th at 6 p.m. in the Popeyes in Charlotte. A witness who was a customer at the time of the shooting told police the altercation stemmed from an argument between Wood and another employee because of overcooked biscuits. The witness reported that both went outside after one challenged the other to, which led to a physical fight. During the fight, Wood allegedly pulled a gun and then fired 2 rounds. Court documents shared the video taken from the scenes, Wood discharging his firearm twice at point-blank range. Both shots hit Wood's coworker, one in the groin and the other in the chest. The employee was rushed to the hospital, life-threatening injuries. He went into emergency surgery when officers arrived at the restaurant. Wood, he dipped. He left.
I bet.
The manager left.
So, number one, I don't know why you need a gun while you're managing a Popeyes. We can start there. There's a lot of times people got the blick on them, and I don't understand why you need the blick on you for that particular role in your life. But a burnt biscuit at Popeyes is a true tragedy. Like, honestly, I would fire somebody. I would not fire on somebody, but I would fire somebody if they burnt the biscuits at Popeyes. I love a Popeyes biscuit. They're so good. I haven't been to Popeyes in too long. I love that place.
Who you got today?
As much as I enjoy Guy remembering, shooting over some burnt biscuits.
Yeah, that's my pick too. I got that one today.
I think I might even beat I might be our weekly champ.
Yeah, I'm kind of ready to move on. Maybe that's not fair. I'm ready for a new winner. I'm picking the burnt biscuit. The burnt biscuit blowout.
It's the burnt biscuit blowout. Great name. It's an overreaction, but also, like I said,
I get it.
I get
Yeah.
it.
It's funny because he told police that he never intended to hit him. They were warning shots.
Yeah, that's where I aim the gun when I am warning, right at the groin of my enemy. That's exactly where I aim the gun when I'm trying to warn them. That's our new winner and our weekly champion on What Is Wrong With You, sponsored by State Farm agent Ryan Mo Winkle Insurance and Financial Services. A Preakness Stakes preview with our horse racing correspondent Andy Weingarten coming up next. Just 2 weeks after the Kentucky Derby, the Preakness Stakes will be run this weekend. The second leg of horse racing's Triple Crown. And to preview it, we welcome in our horse racing correspondent, formerly of WIBW TV and Wave 3 TV in Louisville, Andy Weingarten, joining the program once again. Andy, it is once again a pleasure to have you, but unfortunate circumstances entering these Preakness Stakes, as Sovereignty, the Kentucky Derby winner, already has announced that he won't be running in this race. And that's becoming more of a trend. Kentucky Derby winners sitting out the Preakness. Why is this more common in the last handful of years, do you think?
Well, I think most of it is because of the way things are scheduled. With all the prep races leading up to the Kentucky Derby, they take 3 to 4 weeks off. Now you're asking them to come back in 2 weeks, and it doesn't work. I think something, and very quickly, to change it. And I've made this recommendation for probably the last 10 years, that what horse racing needs to do is run the Kentucky Derby the first Saturday in May, the Preakness the first Saturday in June, and the Belmont first Saturday in July. And if they don't make that change, and I think there's going to be more of an uproar to make that change or something similar. And if they don't do that, you're going to see a lot more of this.
The other notable thing about this year's Preakness Stakes, it'll be the last one at Pimlico as we know it. Pimlico being torn down and replaced. The race will move to Laurel Park in Maryland for the next 2 years. The old Pimlico is a place where a lot of great horse racing history has happened, and we get to see it take one final bow this weekend for this year's Preakness.
Yeah, I mean, it's a historical place, but quite frankly, right now, I've heard the term, it's a dump. I mean, it really is. It's not up to par. It needs to be significantly fixed up. You know, a lot of people don't realize that the Preakness Stakes actually ran the year before the Derby. It's a year older than the Kentucky Derby. So it's got plenty of history, but and the whole thing does. The whole Triple Crown has a lot of history, but history doesn't always align with the society of today, and these changes need to be made. Last year the Belmont Stakes was run at Saratoga, so I believe it moves back to Belmont Park this year. But they had the same thing there, where they did some upgrades. So it's definitely time to upgrade not only the facilities but the way they run the races.
Andy Weingarten is our guest, our horse racing expert here on 580 Sports Talk, joining us on the Fleming Place Wine and Spirits Hotline, formerly of WIBW TV and Wave 3 TV in Louisville, joining us to preview the 2025 Preakness Stakes. Andy, if I could go back momentarily just to the trend of horses not running the Preakness after running in the Kentucky Derby. I know you mentioned your thought for what would be the best way to handle this. Do you feel like that kind of plan to spread the races out more than they are right now, does that have a lot of support in the sport right now, or is that maybe years away?
I don't think it's years away anymore. I think it's coming. I don't think there was a lot of support for it until this announcement was made, because this announcement, he made the announcement right away, Monday of last week, that he was not going to run in the Derby, and it had nothing to do with the soundness of the horse. It's simply a matter of trying to come back after 2 weeks. And although some horses are doing it, there are 3 Derby horses in the Preakness, but it's just so unusual now to come back within 2 weeks to run. Back in the day, before I'm going back probably 15 years, there were horses that would run a race called the Derby Trial at Churchill Downs. And it was the Saturday before the Derby. It was 1 week away, 1 week in advance, and then they turn right around and come back and run in the Derby. That never happens anymore. And really, the 2 week period is not happening anymore. I think there's going to be a lot more support for some sort of change. This is one of the changes, the one that I prefer. I've also heard another one that there are people saying take the Preakness out of the Triple Crown entirely, run the Derby the first week in May, run the Belmont the middle of June, and then run the Travers Stakes in, I believe it's late July or early August, as the third run of the Triple Crown. That's another one that may develop some support, although getting rid of the Preakness, I don't know. That one's going to be a tough sell.
You mentioned a handful of horses that ran the Derby running in the far, far smaller Preakness field as well. One of those horses is Journalism, who was the odds-on favorite to win the Derby. Obviously did not, came up just short. A heavy, heavy favorite in the Preakness as well. Currently 8-5 odds on Journalism to win. Obviously, the odds are shorter for everyone when you talk about a field of 9 horses. Does Journalism deserve to be the heavy, heavy favorite in this field?
Well, yeah, he probably does. The only horse that beat him is not running. So
True.
Despite the mud and the 20 or the 18 horse field, he ran a good race. Now, I was very surprised because at the top of the stretch when he took the lead, I thought the race was over. And the fact that Sovereignty was able to catch and pass him in the last furlong really surprised me. So he lost a little bit right there at the end, but the Preakness is a 16th of a mile shorter. If the Derby had been a 16th of a mile shorter, Journalism probably would have won it.
When you look at this field overall, what would be the word or the couple of words, a sentence maybe, you would use to describe the overall quality or style of this Preakness field?
Well, a little bit. You've got a couple of horses that should go out to the front. You've got 2 or 3 horses that are going to be deep closers, and then you've got a couple of horses that are kind of stalkers. So you've got kind of an even distribution of all styles. I think the quality of the race leaves something to be desired. I think a lot of the best horses bypassing the Preakness, but there are some well-rested horses here that are pretty good that may have a bit of an advantage because they're not running 2 weeks after the Derby. They've taken 5 or 6 weeks off instead.
All right, let's talk weather. I know this is right in your wheelhouse, Andy. Let's get to the weather report. We know that the Derby was obviously as muddy as can be. That track was all kinds of torn up. What are we looking for at the Preakness coming up on Saturday?
Well, it's all muddy and all kinds of torn up right now because they've got severe weather in Baltimore as we speak. I believe that the front will be out of there by mid to late morning tomorrow. They're expecting sunshine, highs in the low 80s. And if that's the case, and they've got 5 or 6 hours of sun and warmth to dry it out, they should run on a fast track. But right now, from what I understand, their track's even worse than what you saw at Churchill Downs because they've had all sorts of rain today.
Andy Weingarten is our guest, our horse racing correspondent on 580 Sports Talk, formerly of WIBW TV in Topeka and Wave 3 TV in Louisville. All right, in this 9-horse field, it's time to get Andy's picks. We'll start with the show horse, the third-place finisher. Who do you have in that show position in this field, Andy?
All right. Well, Bob Baffert didn't make much of a imprint on the Kentucky Derby. I think he'll make a little bit more of one here in the Preakness. I like his 1-horse Goal Oriented. Goal Oriented should go out to the lead. If he gets a fair fraction, nobody goes after him. He could win the thing wire to wire. But there are a couple of other speed horses that I think will make him go a little faster at the beginning than he wants to. So I think he'll be fading down the stretch. But I like Goal Oriented, the Baffert horse, to finish third.
Goal Oriented to show. How about to place the runner-up? Who you got?
Well, it worked. He finished second in the Derby, so why not do it again in the Preakness? I'm going to go with Journalism to finish second. I think there's one horse in this race that I believe is going to be better than him. He's going to be well rested. Journalism will run a fine race, but I think like in the Derby in the last furlong, he'll be caught and passed.
Would be heartbreaking for Journalism.
Brutal for our business.
Yeah, really tough for the business for sure.
Yeah, yeah, that's true.
All right, Andy, who's going to win the Preakness?
I'm going with a horse that has not raced in about 6 weeks, trained by Todd Pletcher, and this is the only big race that Todd Pletcher, the trainer, has never won. I think he gets his first Preakness. I don't know if the horse is River Thames or River Thames, but it's River Thames, and I believe that's the horse that wins the Preakness.
Would it be River Thames, I believe, depending on what part of Europe you're in?
I was going to say Thames.
Then I went 0 for 2 on that. How about River Thames? But it's not Tims.
River T. How about that? Old River T in the seventh post is Andy's pick to win the Preakness Stakes. Andy Weingarten, our horse racing correspondent for 580 Sports Talk. Andy, it's always a joy to talk to horses with you. Enjoy the race, and we'll talk to you before the Belmont.
Okay, I appreciate it. Thanks, guys.
That is Andy Weingarten. We will step aside for a timeout, come back, and wrap up this 4 o'clock hour of 580 Sports Talk. Sports Talk. Our thanks again to Andy Weingarten for joining us. River Thames, I guess.
I'm pretty sure it's Thames.
That would always my understanding of what you called the river.
I'm sorry. I'm gonna do it.
We'll figure out tomorrow when the great Randy Moss does it.
As somebody who lived in England,
okay, yeah, you're
I'm
doing this
pretty
again.
sure it's River Thames.
Okay, Brendan, who you going with to win the?
I'm going journalism. Journalism needs this desperately.
Yeah, I would say so.
I'm picking Alden Capital to lose.
I got a hunch about Clever again out of the 9-hole.
What happened the first time?
Yeah, not clever enough.
Clearly.
Clever again, 5-1 odds. Third shortest odds in the field, fourth shortest odds in the field. Sandman's still in there. He ran a good derby.
Give me goal oriented
out of the one post.
Andy's show pick.
Yeah, show pick.
Yeah.
All right. Change my mind, gentlemen. Based on what we were talking about in the first hour, I didn't get to be a part of the show in the first hour. We're talking about the idea of Chiefs fatigue. Change my mind. Chiefs don't owe anybody a show. They only owe their fans a W.
Oh, no, I agree with you completely. Like, I both simultaneously believe this Chiefs team is going to look different this year. I genuinely believe, part of that is hope. It's kind of its wish casting. But sure. I do think that is going to be the case. I think there's going to be an adjustment, more speed, etc. But also, yeah, like the job is to win. It's like, wow, this team in whatever sport, like, man, it is ugly. I hate the way they play. Works.
I wish they were more fun to watch.
Well, of course.
I wish it
We've
was.
watched every game.
Yeah, I wish it was 2018, 2019 every year. I wish it could be that. Maybe we can get closer to that with a little bit more speed, a little more depth at the wide receiver spot, and better offensive line play. I'd love to see it. But look, man, they don't count. They don't give you style points. Right?
No.
It's all about the wins and the losses.
No, this ain't the college football playoff. Like you actually earn it here. Like there's real rules about how you get in.
It's sort of like soccer. Like like Jose Mourinho, the famous soccer manager who would win every match 1-0 if he could. Park everybody behind the ball, hit you on the counterattack, score one, get the 1-0 win.
But he parked the bus.
Yes. Not pleasant to watch by any stretch of the imagination, but he got the result over and over again. At the end of the day, that's what mattered.
I do think the Chiefs got a little too complacent with being able to win that way. I think this will be a correction to a better form of football this year. But in the end, it doesn't matter if you win.
Sports headlines, playoff roundup, and some more Royals talk coming up in the final hour. 580 Sports Talk. Well, let's get it. Third and final hour of the day, final hour of the week here on 580 Sports Talk on this Friday afternoon. We are so glad you're with us as your weekend gets underway here on the Sports Voice of Kansas, 580 WIBW, FM 104.9, online at 580WIBW.com, and streaming live in our YouTube channel, 580 Sports Talk, and on Facebook at WIBW News.
But I want you to know that I'm the most glad that you're here. The other two are glad. I'm the most glad.
Is it a
so remember that.
Is it a competition?
Yeah. What is this? When is this a comp?
Everything's a competition. We are competing as humans from the moment of conception. That one cell had to beat thousands of others to get there from the beginning. You are competing for survival every day.
Even for a Friday, this is a lot.
Yeah.
That's Brendan Brzezinski, if you were wondering. I'm Dan Lucero. Spencer Dupuis is across the glass. We are with you for one more hour on this Friday.
I'm getting really into that guy who says he's turned 7 days into 21 days by sleeping every 6 hours.
I've changed and manipulated time.
That's probably the dumbest person I've ever seen on the internet.
I've had 3 days. You've only had 1 day. I'm kicking your butt.
I'm going to kick your butt. Although that guy who just dumped his face in really expensive bottled water is up there.
Yeah.
And gave himself potassium poisoning with banana peels.
That guy who's trying to live forever. Have his plasma replaced.
Dude. Okay. I'm not going to name names here, but I was at an event recently as a representative of an organization that I may or may not work for. I went to an event recently with a guest speaker who shared a quote during his motivational presentation. It was the opening act, essentially, and shared a quote from Brian Johnson, the guy who's trying to live forever by getting transfusions from teenage boys.
Yes.
That's a real thing. Google it. And I immediately thought in my head, all right, so I don't need to listen to this guy anymore. Okay, I'm good. I'm going to tune out. I'm going to open up my phone. Because I'm not paying attention to this dude anymore.
I'm not being motivated by Brian Johnson.
Dude, he looks like garbage.
He does.
His whole thing is I'm going to live forever by transfusing my blood with boys of the teenage boys, and I'm going to eat super clean, and I'm going to live forever. He looks horrible. He looks worse now than he did when he started doing this.
If that's what it takes, all the stories about him and all of the lengths he's going to, because he really believes this is going to extend his lifespan. If that's what it takes to live to be 130, 150, 200 years old, pass. I'm a pass on that.
There's an episode of It's Always Sunny in Philadelphia. The gang gets quarantined. They're getting ready for a singing competition, but they all get sick from alcohol withdrawals. And Frank, Danny DeVito, gets obsessed about not getting sick while there's a flu going around Philadelphia, to the point where he shaves off all of his body hair and covers himself in hand sanitizer, and he just squirms around on the floor like a slug. That's what this dude looks like. Danny DeVito in slug form.
Yeah, he's all-time weird guy.
Very bizarre.
There are a lot of weird grind set guys on.
This dude is going crazy on LinkedIn.
Yeah, very, very LinkedIn brained, very, very TikTok brained. It's honestly poisonous. We don't have enough time to talk about how I really feel about these people. We don't. It's a Friday. Let's keep it light. You can text the program 785-272-9429. Get at us in the YouTube live chat as well. If you are watching on our YouTube channel, 580 Sports Talk, there is a chat feature you can utilize to interact with us and your fellow listeners as we go along throughout the show every day and for this final hour of Sports Talk. Coming up at 6 o'clock, pregame coverage of Royals baseball. The I-70 Series fires up tonight at the K as the 1985 World Series champions are honored. It's too bad Don Deckinger didn't make it to see the day. He passed a few years ago.
Yeah, he did.
Too bad he's not there for the 40th anniversary.
That would have been neat.
With the Cardinals in town. He would have gotten a standing ovation.
Oh, yeah.
I swear I saw a Deckinger 85 jersey at a Royals jersey at a Royals game that I had attended.
That's pretty funny.
Yeah, it's extremely funny. Anyhow, the 85 champs are being honored tonight, and first pitch is set for 6:40. Cole Reagan's Andre Palante, the pitching matchup as the Royals try to get out of a mini skid, having lost 4 of their last 5. Cardinals have won 10 of 11, trying to stay hot. Pre-game coverage again, 6 o'clock right here, 580 WIBW, FM 104.9. We'll have the first pitch at 6:40. Some Royals talk coming up later on this hour, including a clip from the Diggin Deep podcast, which I continue to be amazed at how good it is. Like, I did not think that Eric Hosmer and Mike Moustakis and Peter Moylan and friends having a podcast, I didn't think I'd enjoy it as much as I have, but actually kind of a decent hang as far as those podcasts go. And they had Dayton Moore on the podcast. And if you did not make it all the way through the 90 minutes, cut out a part that is going a little bit viral about a trade offer that Dayton Moore turned down back in 2013, according to Dayton Moore. We only have one side of the story here. Brendan is dubious.
I have some doubts. You make the call. We will play for you.
Yes, I think your doubts are reasonable, but we're going to game it out anyway. It'll be fun. That's coming up later on this hour. But we're going to start with our 580 Sports Talk headlines here in this 5 o'clock hour. We began with this from Albert Breer of Sports Illustrated. NFL owners set to vote on major change to playoff seeding, tush-push ban. There's a comma in there. Yeah. It's not that the tush-push will determine playoff seeding.
Tush-push success rate determines your playoff seed, but the better you are, the lower a seed you get.
That's essentially what they're trying to do to the Eagles. Anyhow, the Detroit Lions have proposed reconfiguring the way that the NFL playoffs are seeded, which has been the same since the merger between the NFL and the AFL.
Mm-hmm.
The proposal from the Lions would be for the 4 division champs and 3 wild card teams in each conference to make the playoffs. That's not different than how it is now. Those 7 teams would then be seeded strictly by record rather than assigning the top seeds to the division winners. Again, that is how it has always been done. Since the merger, the division champs get the top 3 for a long time, and then it has been, for the last 20-odd years, the top 4 seeds. The wild cards would then always follow the division winners and be the 5, 6, and 7 seeds. Under this proposal, the teams would be seeded strictly by record. Being a division champion would be a tiebreaker, the first tiebreaker between teams who had the same record, regardless of head-to-head record. Detroit's proposal also called for the reseeding of the playoff bracket after the first round. So if you got the bye, if you're the number 1 seed, you would play the worst of the winning teams, whether that be the 4, whether that be the 5 or the 6 or the 7. The worst remaining seed would then go play the 1 seed. Commissioner Roger Goodell conducted an unofficial vote on the idea in March, says the article, but only a handful of teams were ready to approve the proposal. However, there was also new logic to the notion that teams were considering, prompting Goodell to table an official vote until May. That logic is right there in the NFL's rules proposal memo that went to clubs this week. The reason in Detroit's proposal reads, competitive equity provides excitement and competition in late season games, rewards the best performing teams from the regular season. And it's the provides excitement and competition part that the owners are most interested in, because it makes those week 17 and week 18 games maybe a little bit more important if you don't know that you're locked into your seed. If there are more seed lines at play, you might be more inclined to play your best players. And as much as the TV partners are playing to broadcast these football games, you want to give them the best possible product. So that's the logic that has prompted the debate. I actually like reseeding the field, but I don't like making it so you don't get a first round game if you win your division. I think that should stay, but I do like the thought of reseeding the field and rewarding that number 1 seed.
So
Definitely.
Here's the thing, though. 2 thoughts. One, the easy one. I'm in agreement with you. Well, I was talking earlier about how baseball is kind of lacking like blood rivals at this point. The NBA has like one that is like Lakers Celtics is like the NBA rivalry. Like, I don't like the Pistons from when I was a kid, but like no one gives a rip about Bulls Pistons today. No one. Yeah. Like, there's none of that. Maybe Knicks Celtics, maybe, but like it doesn't exist. The NFL teams in their respective divisions all hate each other.
Oh yeah.
It's the one American major sport, not including college, that we have that. Like, divisional teams hate each other in the NFL. I think that should mean something personally. The other part of this, the NFL already reseeds.
Yes, they do.
So what's the difference here?
It would be that the difference would be, so like previously, if you were a division winner, I guess it's not fundamentally different, but like if you were the division winner and you were like an 8-9 division winner, you might have a worse record than whoever ended up being the 7th seed. But you would still.
Okay, so like if the 4 seed and the 6 seed both won their games, but the 6 seed was 10-7 and the 4 seed was 8-9.
It would just
okay.
The reseeding would be, it's the same process, but it would be affected by how it is seeded to start.
Yeah, I just don't make it more complicated. That is an issue I have had with the NFL recently. Stop making it more complicated. I understand why they added another game because of the revenue. I get it, even if I don't like it. But then, like, okay, now the format for the playoffs is different and the schedule doesn't line up perfectly. And stop making things more complicated. Again, my gripe about the, more games on Christmas and games on Fridays and triple headers on set, like the scarcity, the ease of watching and following has always been the biggest selling point of the NFL next to the actual enjoyment of the sport itself. Don't make things more confusing. Right now, it is very simple. You win your division, you get a home playoff game. Great. Awesome. These are rivalries that have existed forever. Forever. The original, the true old guard of the NFC. Those teams have been playing each other for the better part of a century, if not more than a century. The AFL teams have hated each other since 1960. Even the newcomer teams, like newer blood to the league, have been ingratiated into these rivalries. Like Houston and Tennessee have legit beef, like legit blood feud beef, and Houston's only been around for 23 years. Like, that, keep these things as they are. There's nothing wrong with them. There's no need for it. That's what gets to me. That's what bothers me.
Texter from the 785 points out you could be punishing good divisions if you take away the fact that they don't get an automatic higher seed or an automatic home game. If they had to go through a gauntlet of a division, they maybe ended up with a 10-7 record. It's not as good as a 12-5 wild card team, but they were in a really tough division, and like a last year's NFC North was really difficult, and obviously all those teams had great records.
Because this also now jacks up the weight of the schedule.
Yeah,
the divisions matter because you play those teams more times. That I don't like it. I hope this fails.
So here's the other tidbit about the tush push, because that is also up for debate, banning it at the NFL owners meetings. Again, more from Albert Breer.
Spencer, did you write this proposal yourself?
No, this is actually identical to the language in the Packers proposal. So the Packers have written this.
So so your team wrote it. How about that? Give me crap. It was your team.
The proposal says an offensive player can't, quote, immediately at the snap, push or throw his body against a teammate who was lined up directly behind the snapper and receive the snap to aid him in an attempt to gain yardage. Is that confusing to you? You're not alone. More from Breer. Coaches asked for more clarity with the original writing of the rule at the meetings in March. New England Patriots coach Mike Vrabel asked whether the quarterback could be pushed behind the guard. Los Angeles Chargers coach Jim Harbaugh asked whether the guards could be pushed by extra linemen on the field to create a similar effect to the quarterback being pushed. Those weren't addressed here.
I love Jim Harbaugh.
Yes, because that's the thing with banning this play, right? We'll figure out something else. Not even just a loophole. They'll figure something else out. They will figure something else out that will be just as effective, and it will be like banning a play never happened.
I've made it clear. I don't think this is necessary. I just leave it in. The Eagles are not going to be great at this. Not every team goes through cycles. Some are longer than others. We thought the Patriots just win everything forever, and now they're ass. They are terrible, and even though I like Drake May, they're probably going to be pretty bad again this year. Like Green Bay was great in the 90s. You want to ask about the 80s? Yikes. Not good. Not very good at all.
How were the 80s for the Kansas City Chiefs?
Yeah. Bleh, bad. Everything is cyclical. The Eagles will not, for the rest of the history of football, have 450-pound on average offensive linemen and a quarterback who can squat a gorilla. Like that's not going to be the thing forever. And it's not just the Eagles. It's the play in general. I get that. I do not think it should change. That being said, if I was going to make a devil's advocate argument here, pushing was not allowed in the NFL for like 85 years. Like that wasn't allowed in the league for a long time. If you're just going to say we're reversing the rule change from 15 years ago, I don't like it, but like, fine, whatever. The Eagles will still have plenty of success because, again, Jalen Hurts could squat a gorilla and they have a gigantic offensive line. They will not have any problems with this in the long run. It's just the pushing part. If that was the rule that they were trying to push, fine, literally push. But doing behind the center, and if he's directly behind you, but not at a 15-degree angle, it's got to be straight on. Stop. Don't make it more complicated for coaches, for teams, or for fans. Do not make it more complicated.
That's what the NFL is voting on. They are also going to consider tweaks to the kickoff rule, with the main one allowing for teams to declare for and run onside kicks at any point in the game rather than just the fourth quarter.
I like that.
And as we talked about yesterday, the previously reported allowance for NFL players to compete in flag football at the 2028 Olympics in Los Angeles.
Yes.
So that is what will be up for debate at the owners' meetings in Minneapolis next week. Next headline, Brendan.
Let's stick with the NFL. Major news from the Bay Area, where Brock Purdy remains faithful to the Bay with a brand new 5-year, $265 million deal. We knew this was coming. The 49ers have built their entire offseason draft strategy, everything around getting a new market value contract for Brock Purdy. So the deal is $265 million total value. Ignore that number. I'm just going to tell you right now. Ignore that number. $181 million total guarantees, $55 million start of the year. So $181 million, that is the number you've got to pay real attention to. The comparison to the rest of the league. So this is in terms of, again, that total value number, the 5th highest deal in the NFL behind Mahomes, Josh Allen, Trevor Lawrence, Joe Burrow. It comes in $2.5 million ahead of Justin Herbert. In terms of total money guaranteed, it is 8th in the league. Josh Allen, Dak Prescott, Deshaun Watson, Burrow, Lawrence, Herbert, Lamar Jackson, all come in ahead of this new deal for Purdy. He is 1 spot ahead of Jalen Hurts, again, 8th for the entire NFL. So this is, I believe, I saw someone say this, and I think it's true. This contract is now worth more than any other Mr. Irrelevant has ever been paid total.
No, Brock Purdy will make more week 1 of the 2025 season than he did in his first 3 seasons in the NFL.
Pretty incredible.
He'll also make his salary that he currently makes per season. He'll make that in like 6.5 days.
That is pretty
under
incredible.
That contract, yeah.
Yeah, and again, John Lynch had quotes this offseason, made it very clear that this is what they were going to do. This is what they were working toward. They let some free agents go. They made some trades. They built their draft strategy around the knowledge that Brock Purdy is, for better or for worse, going to be their franchise quarterback.
I was insistent before, probably 2 years ago. There's no way the 49ers should do this. No way. And I didn't believe for a second that Kyle Shanahan would ever do it. If I could find a Brock Purdy with literally the last pick of the draft, I could find somebody better in 2 years in the draft. I could find somebody to run my offense. It's plug and play. It's all about the run game anyway. I don't need to have a quarterback on that kind of a contract as long as I'm running the show in San Francisco. Now, Purdy got better enough to make this at least justifiable. So I am not going to stand here and say that the 49ers made the wrong move by paying Brock Purdy. That being said, $53 million a year average annual value for Brock Purdy feels insane. It feels like an insane thing to do. It's not, because that's the market value for quarterbacks.
Right.
He's making Jared Goff money. I think he's as good as Jared Goff is. He's making Tua Tagovailoa money. I like him better than Tua. He's been more durable.
Yes.
Yeah. So
he started week 1 after a playoff game the year prior, having his UCL torn.
Yeah. No.
That's nuts.
So this is by market value, by what the market has borne out for quarterbacks. This is entirely defensible and also feels completely insane. I think you can hold both thoughts in your head at the same time. Also, I saw a graphic from The Athletic, top 10 average annual value contracts for a quarterback. Hey, you know who ain't on there? The best one in the entire NFL.
Yeah,
and
crazy.
That is wild to me. But anyway, yeah, Brock Purdy going to make more in week 1 than he did in his first 3 years in the NFL. That is something else. That's quite a story.
Yeah, and I'm with you. Like, you sort of have to suspend disbelief. Like, quarterback money is not real money. Like, to me, this is fake. Like, that's not real money. You don't get paid that much. I will never see that many dollar bills in my life combined, birth to death. Like $265 million.
Especially because you're gonna at some point you're gonna be like, oh, I'll team friendly this. I'll take less money this year.
Not necessarily. Like, really, Brady's been about the only one to do that.
I mean, Mahomes has.
Mahomes to this point has.
Yeah, I'm curious what Mahomes' deal is going to look like the next, because it's probably not too far off that he's going to sign a new one, renegotiate something, because he deserves again relative to level of play. I'm not trying to say, doctors, teachers, whatever. I get it. I know that always comes up, but like he deserves more relative to the market than he is getting paid right now. I'm wondering, how that's going to look when there's not a Travis Kelce to pay. Like, hey, I want to make sure the other guys get paid. Mahomes in the next couple of years is going to be the core.
Yes.
Because McDuffie will have been paid. Karlaftis will have been paid. Jones isn't going to play forever. Kelsey's about to retire.
Trey Smith's going to get his deal.
Yep.
And guards and centers like Creed Humphrey.
Creed's been paid.
Yep, he's been paid.
And look, major center money is not like major tackle money. It's just not. I'm very curious about that. But I'm with you. Like, it seems insane for a guy who's probably closer to top 12 than he is to top 5 in quarterback play. But, like, would you rather have Purdy or Trevor Lawrence?
I think the ceiling's higher for Lawrence.
I think so, too. Probably. And Purdy comes in a few million shy of what Lawrence got a year ago.
Yeah.
So relative to the market, it's fair. But again, do you believe in Brock Purdy? Hard to say.
I will answer that question with this question. If they had switched teams 3 years ago, if Trevor Lawrence had ended up a 49er for the last 3 years and Brock Purdy had been Mr. Irrelevant drafted by Jacksonville, do we know Brock Purdy's name?
We do.
Wait, yeah.
He played games in Lawrence and Manhattan. We know him.
But
no, it's a totally fair question.
A lot of it is about the circumstance. Get a quick headline in, Spencer.
Yeah, I'll just do 2 quickly here. We've got news coming in for KU on the commit front, both in football and basketball, from our friends Michael Swain and Falk.net. Top KU commit J.J. Dunnigan rejects the SEC interest and will shut down his recruitment. He will come and play at KU. He had offers from other major programs. Then he picked KU, and then his recruitment continued. He got offers from Oregon, Miami, Tennessee, Ole Miss, Florida. He will instead stay with his commitment to KU, and he will have the opportunity to play both ways at KU. For the football team, on the basketball side, they land Oak Park standout Corbin Allen as they commit. He had scholarship offers from other programs like Ball State, Murray State, Oklahoma State, and San Diego, and he'll be on the 2025-2026 roster and beyond. He was coached in high school at Oak Park by Sharon Collins, former KU standout. And, so 2 big players in the state going to KU for football and basketball, respectively.
So real quick, obviously the other part of the intrigue with J.J. Dunnigan is he's from Manhattan. He plays at Manhattan High.
Yeah.
Like, that's – K-State's been stealing dudes from Lawrence for a while. It's been some time since a Manhattan High kid went to KU. And J.J. can play, man. We've seen him. He can really play. Corbin Allen, this is the new walk-on. And he might turn into something really good. I don't know. He's only going to be a freshman. But – not going to pay him a lot in revenue share, probably not a huge NIL kind of package, but local kid, program kid, good high school player. He broke Ochai Abaji's Oak Park scoring record in his high school career. Obviously, has the Sharon Collins connection, but he's probably not going to play. I imagine he's a 5-year program kind of guy. But I'm happy he's on board.
And you need those guys.
Yes.
You need those guys. They can play a little, so much the better.
Remember when Ochai was a redshirt until suddenly you might be the best player on the team?
Yeah, I do.
We actually need you to play in January.
I remember that very well. One more quick headline before the playoff roundup from the PGA Championship. Day 2 wrapping up at Quail Hollow in Charlotte. Your current leader by 2 shots, Venezuelan-born Jonathan Vegas, who shot a 64 yesterday, had a 2-shot lead going into today, and held his ground with a 1-under par 70. Vegas is at 8 under for the tournament, currently up 2 shots on Frenchman Matthew Pavon. who's in the clubhouse today with a 65, 6 under for the tournament. Also on the course at 6 under, Matt Fitzpatrick, previous major winner, and Siwoo Kim, both at 6 under. Siwoo Kim shooting a 7 under par score through 16 holes so far today. 2 players at 5 under. Scotty Scheffler is one of them, the world number 1, 3 under par today through 16 holes. 2 tough ones left. They've got to finish that Green Mile out in good shape, but he's right there in the thick of things. So too Max Homa, who shot a 64 today, best round so far turned in. Max Homa, super likable player, had a great year a couple years back, won the Genesis, made the Ryder Cup team. He's been struggling for the last year and a half, had a good run at the Masters, and put together a first 2 good days at Quail Hollow, so that's good to see. Big group at -4 includes the likes of lefty Robert McIntyre, JT Poston, and the delightfully named South African Garrick Higo, who is 2 under through 13 today. He's left-handed too. Look at the lefties out there thriving. Group at 3 under includes Bryson DeChambeau, 5 shots off the lead after a 3 under 68 today. Keegan Bradley, your boy, even par through 14 today, 3 under for the tournament. Gary Woodland's tournament will come to an end. The professional sports franchise of Topeka, Kansas will miss the cut after a 3 over 74 yesterday, shot a 1 over 72 today. That puts him at a +4, 3 shots behind the projected cut line. Other standouts who project to miss the cut, despite a 68 today, Jordan Spieth is on the wrong side of the current cut line. Justin Thomas is on the wrong side at +3. Ludwig Oberg and Minwoo Lee are both at +3 and likely to miss the cut. Ricky Fowler, Patrick Reed, +4, not going to play the weekend. Patrick Cantlay, +6, not going to play the weekend. Cameron Smith, +7. Phil Mickelson, +9. Brooks Koepka, +9. Not going to play the weekend. Dustin Johnson, +12. He doesn't care. He's doing lines with Paulina. He doesn't care. He going to miss the cut as well. That is the latest from the PGA Championship. Johnny Vegas, 2-shot lead. Going
Not a real guy. I refuse to believe it.
Jonathan Vegas. That is JONATTAN. Jonathan Vegas.
No.
Not real.
Let's do the playoff roundup. That's real as steel.
It's time for the 580 Sports Talk Playoff Roundup.
Spencer, I'm glad you were eager to get into it.
Well,
we're going to start with you.
Well, no, we got the automation system fixed. I talked to our engineer. Something was wrong.
Oh,
so
good.
that's why we've had some stutters.
Good. I'm glad we got it lined out. We're going to start with you, Spence. It's over for the Caps. Washington eliminated by Carolina last night. Late third period goal by Andrei Svechnikov broke a 1-1 tie. A late empty netter gave the Carolina Hurricanes a 3-1 win over Washington and a series win in 5 games, eliminating the top seed in the East and advancing Carolina to the Eastern Conference Finals for the second time in 3 years. Spencer, I'm sure you're bummed, but hey, a memorable year and kind of a out of nowhere memorable year too. And those are kind of the fun ones, even if you don't make a deep playoff run. Yeah. And I'm sure I know you were hoping for a deep playoff run. This had to be kind of an unexpected fun Caps year for you.
It did, and I want to go back to a point in this game. So there's a very odd thing that happened. So the Caps scored a go-ahead goal. They would have taken the lead 2-1 a few minutes into the second period, I believe it was. But it was about not even a foot offsides, but it was 19 seconds. They had to put 19 seconds back on after Carolina challenged it because it was 19 seconds after they got onside. If you're
that kind of feels like he got hosed.
Like 15 seconds, you should be able to do any of that. But if it's past 15 seconds, that should count.
That's
like
tough.
How do come on?
Yeah, the Avs got hosed on a late offside in a Game 7 in the second round that they lost some years back against San Jose. So I feel your pain there.
But yes, this team was crazy. Alex Ovechkin broke his leg. Wasn't even supposed to, at that point, would not have even reached the goals mark. And then the fact that the team kept rolling without him was huge.
Sure.
Personally, I thought it was going to be a fall of 2026 venture for him to get I've been thinking years. When he signed that contract, I said fall of 26, he's going to finish out that season as the goal scoring leader forever. But big year, and he signed on for another year. and they get just about everybody back except for some guys that were basically not helpers at this
Sure,
point.
you bring back
Lars Eller, a 35-year-old man who helped us win the cup in 2018. He held Ryan Leonard back in the playoffs, the young gun that they got out of college.
All right, that's good to know they're returning a big chunk of the core for next year, give it another run. Carolina, though, moving on in the East. Winnipeg able to stave off elimination out West. 4-0 home win over Dallas in Game 5 last night. That series will head back to Dallas for a Game 6. Stars lead at 3-2. Tonight, Game 6 in Sunrise, Florida. Panthers try to close out the Leafs, leading that series 3-2. On the hardwood last night, Christian Brown had a double-double, 23 points and 11 boards. And the Julian Strother game, the former Gonzaga Bulldog, with 15 points off the bench in the third and fourth quarters. And a routine 29 points, 14 boards, 8 assists from the best player in the world. Helped the Denver Nuggets to a 119-107 win over the Thunder in Denver, forcing a Game 7. The 68-win Thunder pushed to the brink. Game 7 is Sunday afternoon in OKC. Denver's core is better. They're just a guy short, and that's been the story of the series, is that they haven't been able to give their main guys enough rest, and they've run out of steam. They ran out of steam in Game 4, should have won it. They ran out of steam in Game 5, should have won it. Last night, they didn't run out of steam because they had an extra guy step up, and it was out of nowhere, Julian Strother. God bless him. They can win. They can win Game 7. This is the 7th Game 7 for the Jokic-era Nuggets since 2019.
That's pretty wild. That's a lot of basketball.
And what's amazing, too, is it's the first one they've played on the road.
Wow.
4 of them at home and 2 of them in the bubble.
Wow.
So they had 2 of them in that bubble run to the Western Conference Finals. So, 7th Game 7 for that group. It is the 2nd Game 7 in SGA's career, for comparison's sake. Him and Lou Dort were on that Thunder team that lost to the Rockets in the bubble. I believe that was a first-round series. They lost a 7th game there. So Game 7, Sunday afternoon, Nuggets and Thunder. Tonight, Game 6 at Madison Square Garden. The Knicks take another crack at eliminating the wounded Celtics to try and advance to take on the Pacers in the Eastern Conference Finals. We're going to take a short break, but first, I want to give away another pair of Alabama tickets because I have another pair of Alabama tickets. Alabama featuring Lee Greenwood as the opening act. Alabama's at the Azure Amphitheater in Bonner Springs on May 23rd, and I have 2 tickets to give away to that concert, and I want to give them to you if you're caller number 3 during this break to 785-272-9429. 785-272-9429. Caller number 3 is going to see Alabama May 23rd in Bonner Springs. When we come back, Dayton Moore turned down Eric Hosmer for who? We'll tell you next. 541 on 580 Sports Talk. Dan, Brendan, Spencer. Gonna need audio for this one, Spencer. If you can go ahead and pop my computer up. Dayton Moore, former general manager of the Kansas City Royals, was on the Diggin Deep podcast with Eric Hosmer and Mike Moustakas. Wide-ranging conversations, about 90 minutes. For all of the stick we give Dayton Moore on this show for what the Royals became at the end of his tenure, and he does deserve a lot of criticism, I think, for the direction that the Royals slid by the end of his tenure, because I think a lot of it was his doing and the way he was running the team. I do think that Dayton Moore at his heart is a baseball guy, capital B, baseball, capital G guy. And I do think he loves the game. He thinks he's thoughtful about the game and people's place in the game. And I think he's an interesting guy to listen to talk. He and Eric Hosmer and Mike Moustakas were chopping it up. It's Champions Weekend, after all. I'm sure they were all in KC, and then they'll all be at the ballpark tomorrow night for the honor of the 2015 champs. But at one point towards the end of the conversation, Dayton Moore drops this on both Eric Hosmer and Mike Moustakas. This is from the Diggin Deep podcast. This is the voice of Dayton Moore.
We were in Houston in 13, and I got a call from Jeff Luhnow. I was sitting at the Starbucks coffee, and he said, "I got a deal for you." I said, "Okay." He said, "I'll trade you Altuve for Eric Hosmer." That's one, yeah.
Is that real?
Yeah, it's real.
Oh, you're an idiot.
Said, "Nope."
Oh,
Nope.
man.
That's a tough target. I didn't like trading major league players.
So I believe it was Hosmer who you can hear in the background saying, "You're an idiot for not having pulled the trigger on that." You don't think, Brendan, that really happened?
Absolutely not. I believe more that the moon landing was fake than this happened. No. So I have a lot of thoughts about Dayton Moore to a lot of degrees. I do not trust him farther than I can throw him.
So in 2013, that was Hosmer's third year in the bigs. And after a disappointing sophomore season in 2012, Hosmer was really good in 2013. 3.5 wins above replacement. He hit .302, 17 home runs, won his first Gold Glove. He's really good in 2013. And the Royals won 86 games that year. It was a stepping stone, kind of a launching pad for what happened the next 3 years. Jose Altuve in 2013 for a 51-win Astros team was only worth 1 win. Hit .283. It was a step backwards from his first full season in 2012 when he made an all-star team. Hit .283, but didn't get on base and didn't hit for any real power. So it would have been sell a little low on Altuve, sell a little high on Eric Hosmer. And yeah, I have my doubts that it really happened too. But let's game it out for a second. Let's subtract Eric Hosmer from the 2014-17 Royals, and let's add one of the 5 best players in baseball in that same time frame. Let's pretend. So in 2014, Eric Hosmer was worth less than a win above replacement. In fact, Fangraphs has him worth negative wins above replacement that year. Jose Altuve in 2014 worth 5.5 wins above replacement in 2014. And you know what else he did in 2014? He played second base. Do you remember who the Royals gave $32 million to play second base before the 2014 season on a 4-year contract? Omar Infante.
Second time he's come up today.
I want you to imagine the 2014 Royals. Okay, you don't have Haas at first base, but you got Jose Altuve at second base, MVP caliber player. And at first base, you figure something out. It was a bad free agent market. I went back and looked. Who was a free agent going into 2014? Who else could the Royals have given that money to? Well, there were a lot of guys who had qualifying offers attached to them. That might not have been appealing to the Royals at the time to go like cough up a draft pick to sign Mike Napoli, for example.
Mike Napoli.
But $8 million a year is what they gave Omar Infante. Nelson Cruz got $8 million that year from Baltimore. Now, he was coming off a 50-game suspension for being in the biogenesis PED leak there. So his rep was a bit tarnished, but he got the same millions of dollars that year that Omar Infante did. Let's plug him in as the DH and move Billy Butler to first base on the 2014 Royals. Nelly Cruz hit 40 home runs that year.
Yeah.
And even if you just get a replacement level DH and Butler's your first baseman, or a replacement level first baseman and Butler remains your DH, if Altuve is at second base, the Royals win the division in 2014. They don't have to worry about the wild card game. They finished 1 game back in Detroit that year. Altuve would have been the difference in a division title in 2014. 2015, Hosmer was actually more valuable, according to Baseball Reference War, than Altuve was. But I think they win the World Series either way. I don't think that detracts too much from that. The next 2 years, Eric Hosmer was worth a combined 6.1 wins above replacement. That was less valuable than Altuve was in either 2016 or 2017, including 2017 when he won the MVP. He was the most valuable player in the American League. And like Hosmer and Kane and Moustakas and Alcides Escobar, he would have been a free agent after the 2017 season if not for the deal the Astros had signed him to in 2013, where they got 2 incredibly cheap player options for 2018 and 2019. So it would have been on the same timeline with all the rest of their other guys. I know Eric Hosmer gets credit for being a great leader. It's hard to imagine him not being on that 2015 team because he was such an important part of that team and part of that team's attitude. And they had a bunch of red asses on that team. And he was Captain Red Ass in a lot of ways. It's hard to imagine them without him in 2015. But imagine Jose Altuve on the Royals on 2016 and 17. That might have been another playoff appearance. That might have been another pennant. That might have been another title with that group.
It could have been. No, you're certainly right about that. You do have to do the butterfly effect, though. You don't have Ben Zobrist in 2015.
Do you still make the move and maybe he plays corner outfield?
Probably not, because he played more than half his games at second base that year.
That's true. Well, maybe you look somewhere else. Maybe you looked upgrade at first base or DH.
Yeah, could have done that.
You make a deal there.
Yeah.
Nowhere for Whit Merrifield to play.
Yeah,
you lose him in 2016, 2017. Or maybe he comes up and plays center field and Lorenzo Cain kicks to right.
Here's the thing. That long term also would have been better for the Royals, because I do believe Dayton Moore when he said, I don't want to trade major league players. Oh, we know.
Yeah.
Because you mortgaged the future to decide to keep your contact hitting second baseman happy. Like, I liked Whit Merrifield. Good player. Useful player.
Should have been traded.
Sucked.
Yeah. Should have been traded 3 years before he got traded.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, you're exactly right. We're going to take a timeout. Quick preview of Royals Cardinals tonight after this. Royals and Cardinals tonight, 6:40 first pitch at the K. Cole Reagan's on the bump for KC. Andre Palante is the starting pitcher for the Cardinals tonight. Palante was really good down the stretch for the Cardinals last year. He's probably their best starting pitcher last couple months of the season. Not that anybody noticed because they were buried in the standings. He's just been okay this year. As it turns out, if your whole thing is, I get weak contact on the ground. When you start giving up less weak contact and more of it is in the air, you go the wrong direction. He gave up 8 home runs in 121 and a third innings last year. That's really good. He's already given up 7 dingers in 43 and a third innings this year. And he, like most of the rest of his staff mates for the Cardinals, not a bat misser. There will be contact to be made tonight by the Kansas City Royals. Got to go jump on him. Again, I am once again asking the Royals to do some early damage and somebody get a hit with runners in scoring position.
Yeah, I'm with you. I think this Royals team needs to get ahead. There's 2 parts of it. Get ahead and then don't burn every single one of your good relief pitchers in the middle innings because you just throw that, I don't even know what phrase to use. You almost whiz it away. You got to avoid that, like that game against the Astros.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, get ahead early. Do not leave any doubt. I would like to see that kind of performance from the Royals offensively a little more often.
The lineup in support of Cole Reagans tonight: Jonathan India at second base for the second time this season will lead off, followed by Bobby Witt Jr. at short, Vinny Pasquantino at first, and Salvador Perez catching. Michael Garcia, entrenched in the 5-hole, will play third. Michael Massey gets his first big league start in left field tonight, batting 6th. Kevin Biggio's the DH, Drew Waters in right, Kyle Isbell in center against the right-handed Palante. Lineup for St. Louis: Lars Nootbaar will lead off in left field. Mason Wins at short. Brendan Donovan's at second. Nolan Arenado's at third. Wilson Contreras plays first and bats 5th. Ivan Herrera, who is smoking the ball so far this season in a small sample size for St. Louis, will DH. Pedro Pajes is the catcher. He'll bat 7th. Jordan Walker, the erstwhile top prospect, in right field, batting 8th. Victor Scott in center, batting 9th. 6:40, first pitch. We'll have pregame coverage on the Royals Baseball Network in about 7 minutes. We'll have a final word after this timeout on 580 Sports Talk. Time to wrap up 580 Sports Talk with a final word. It's our final one for the week, so make it good. Brendan Dworzinski.
Final word for me is that I'm just hoping Cole Reagans has a nice little bounce back after I hyped up that Garrett Crochet matchup earlier in the week, and it did not go very well. But I have changed my mind on how I feel about MLB's rivalry weekend, whatever they're officially calling it. I thought it was dumb at first, but that's not fair. It is cool. I think the problem is just there aren't enough good rivalries to really sell it. You've got enough, though. You can hype up the I-70 series, the Freeway series, Subway, Crosstown up in Chicago, all those. There's enough that there's some intrigue to it. And I will tell you this much, it is certainly better than two-game series scattered about the year. I would much rather have this weekend.
Spencer Dupuis, give me a final word.
Yeah, we talked about earlier about J.J. Dunnigan and his commitment to KU, and I think it's huge for KU. Brennan brought this up about poaching somebody from Manhattan High School. It's good KU's doing some competitive recruiting in the state for football, because we all know that K-State's done it to them and or their Lawrence area. So I think it's huge for KU, and dude's going to be an impact on both sides of the ball. At least he wants to be, and that may be why he chose KU.
Final word for me, based on what we were talking about at the beginning of the show, I wasn't in on it to really talk about the idea of Chiefs fatigue. A texter during last season said something that I have not been able to stop thinking about since they texted it in. If this was you texting it, shout out to you for putting this in my brain, that the Chiefs play Marty ball, but they have the best quarterback in the league. That is really what the Chiefs have become the last 2 seasons. And I wouldn't call it electrifying. I wouldn't necessarily call it the greatest television, which the NFL would maybe prefer of the team that they are putting on primetime more than any other team. But 2 things. Number 1, people will watch Patrick Mahomes because everybody has an opinion on Patrick Mahomes. Whether he's boring or not with his how far he's throwing the ball down the field, you either want to see him win or you really want to see him lose. The other part is the Chiefs don't owe the rest of the NFL viewing audience a good time. They owe you, the fans, some wins, and they're really good at getting those. We're back on Monday from 3 until 6. For Brendan and Spencer, I'm Dan. Have a great weekend. Good night.